Breakfast. They say it's the most important meal of the day. They say that, honestly. I'm not making that up. And breakfast is awesome. You know, back in the day, you just house a whole box of cereal, watch some cartoons, just do the whole thing. Just be like, all right, keep the milk coming, and let's get a box and a half of cereal in me before Dungeons and Dragons comes on. But that's, you know, maybe not the best way to live now. I mean, maybe it wasn't the best way to live then, honestly, but probably not the best way to live now as an adult. You know, maybe you know, cut down on some carbs or some sugar. Maybe eat a little bit healthier, huh? Well, you're in luck because now there's Magic Spoon. They've got breakfast cereal for you in the flavors you love, but without all the bad stuff. Let's get into it. Let's get on to it. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. These are only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. You got the variety pack. The variety pack has 4 flavors in it. You want to hear about the 4 flavors? Here they are: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. It's, you know, it's a good roster of like, hey, you know, there's some protein in there, no sugar, all that other stuff. Hot flavors. They sent some of this over. I ate some of that peanut butter. Ate some of that cocoa. You can do it, you know. You live. That's what I'm saying. You can live in a breakfast cereal world now because of Magic Spoon. Get your variety pack today. Go to magicspoon.com/bomb. You can grab that variety pack and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code BOMB at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/bomb and use the code BOMB to save $5 off. What's going on, everybody? Hi, Bingo Papadopoulos is here, baby.
I saw that the dev who made that commented under that video.
Oh, yeah. Satan. Oh, Satan chimed in?
Yes, Satan himself was there. I fangirled out about it.
Yeah. The high-quality Bingo Papadopoulos' Pinball Golf Paradise. You can play it on itch right now in a browser window if you so desire. You can also download it.
Yeah. Just do that to yourself.
Designed as part of Ludwig Jam over about 2-ish days.
Okay.
So, yeah. I think if you did another 18 months work on that, you'd have something really magical. I'm Jeff.
It's nice to know a lot about your assailants. It's good for the book.
Jeff Bacalar.
Hey.
Stop acting like you are not a huge fan of Bingo Papadopoulos' Golf Pinball Paradise, available now on itch.
I mean, I'm more of a fan than I thought I would be, but in a very ironic way. Let's just leave it at that. I saw him in my dreams. Mm-hmm. They were nightmares. And now I've decided the next 10 to 15 years will be in service of whatever he commands. It's my new religion. Come join me.
We all love Bingo, and Bingo is a being of love and light, and Salome.
He's a Greek man. Yeah. Mr. Papadopoulos. He's a Greek person. He hails from Greece. We know. Mm-hmm. So it's a Greek religion.
Yeah. Of course, if you don't know what we're talking about, that was part of the big, long live stream we ran yesterday as part of the Giant Bomb-a-thon. Giant Bomb premium memberships continue to be on sale. Unprecedented You can get a
Unprecedented.
hot month right now if you use the offer code BOMBATHON. Instead of a week free
word.
trial, you get a month. That's crazy.
It is
just dumb.
crazy.
Whole month. That's multiple
Yeah.
Do
weeks.
that.
Everyone said not to, and we were just like, whatever. We're still
They
going to
told
do
us
it.
we were crazy, and we said, no,
went
we're
rogue.
insane.
And they said, no, literally, you will go out of business tomorrow. And we are like, oh, no, so what?
It's like, oh, finally,
3 months.
mercy killing. Danny O'Dwyer, I understand you're deep in production on a Bingo Papadopoulos' Golf Pinball Paradise documentary.
Thank you.
And sorry, that was that information limited to tied to your patrons only. Did I just fuck something up? I'm sorry. I did,
Yeah. Although, we at NoClip, we tend to always go for the hottest games. So in some ways it was inevitable, like that we would jump on the hype train.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Jean-Luc is here filling in for Jan. How's it going in the production seat? It's Cool Hat Day.
I got a cool hat. Production's looking good. The seat's hot.
Nice.
I'm desperately trying to figure out what the fuck you guys are talking about with this game. I'm piecing it together in my head.
Talking about Bingo
There's an-
Papadopoulos' Golf Pinball Paradise, available now on itch.io.
Okay.
There is an emote. There's an emote
yeah, there's an emote
already.
in the chat.
Is that what that is?
Is that what that is?
That's
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
That is
That's
Bingo
sad.
Papadopoulos.
That's
sad
Bingo.
little- It's a little fucker with a top hat. He's just judging you. Judging
So
the chat.
imagine like
He gets a little
a
excited for you, and then when you fail, his face falls. And
Yeah.
the disappointment is
Aw.
like just tangible.
he wants
from
you to
this little
succeed. It's
man.
the opposite of the bomber in Kaboom who smiles when you lose, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, no, we played some of this. It's like a Bennett Foddy's kind of getting over it sort of thing, except you
Very
are
generous.
doing like touch screen golf controls when the ball is stopped, and then as you hit it up, you have flippers, and so you're trying to like get up. You're trying to get up, like Mark
Yeah.
Echo.
Exactly.
Okay,
It's a
yes,
graffiti
yes.
sim.
Now I understand. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah, let me just say, and I use the word physics extraordinarily lightly. There's some wackadoo bullshit in that game, and it's not frustrating at all. And it found its way into our hearts and minds, and now I'm glad that it is officially canon in some sadistic way.
We want to make Bingo proud of us, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we serve him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow week this week, huh, guys?
No, it's December. There are no new games coming out, and so Bingo
Yeah.
Papadopoulos is. Now here's my 20-minute chunk about home improvement. It started raining here yesterday.
Yeah, ditto.
I told you that
And-
happened one day.
Yeah, they said it wouldn't, but here we are.
Did you find your leaks?
Yes,
Awesome.
it's a big skylight. It's a big
Okay.
skylight
Oh.
that is leaking in multiple spots.
Oh no, that's not
Okay.
good.
At least you know where it's
Onto
coming from.
anything? Is it onto
It
anything?
is
Like-
leaking. It is a tile floor, so it leaked onto
Okay.
a rug and then a yoga mat.
that could have been way worse. Like my
Rip.
parents have skylights directly above their bed. It's like
Yeah,
I would have
no,
noticed
that
that.
Ill-
so bad.
ill-advised.
Waterbed.
Ill-advised.
Yeah,
Waterbed,
that would be way worse. No, it's over the dining room area, which we don't have a table in or anything like that. It's more of a playroom kind of yoga room kind of thing. And yeah, it had rained here before and this didn't happen, but I don't know what changed. But so that's two windows now that we've discovered. There's one window where just water seems to pool at the bottom of it, and that needs to be replaced. And then now the skylight has got two. They are thankfully slow drips, but 10 minutes before the show starts, I'm staring up at the ceiling, going fuck, and wondering how a home warranty works because I did get one.
Yeah.
But now I have to
mean-
figure out how that works.
If it eases your mind at all, allow me to say that a skylight leak, while you may one day have to replace that skylight, that
Yes.
seems. At least you know where the leak is coming from, right?
Yes,
Half the
it's not
battle
just
with
weird
leaks is
water
like,
damage.
Yeah, you got to like play this crazy game of where's it coming from. Plus, by the time it rains again in 2023, you'll be good to go by then. That's a
good point.
So,
Yeah.
That is a good point. No, it's going to rain today, and then in a couple of days it'll rain again. And so the hope is like, what can we do something to stop this from happening before it happens again? Because my daughter loves it. She's run as a bucket here. Let's play with the bucket. Like, no, please don't play with the bucket. Please do not play with the bucket.
They got scary stickers on those buckets warning about this exact relationship between young child and bucket. So be wary.
Is there a bucket warning? It's no honey bucket. Let me tell you that.
No, like on a big old Home Depot multiple gallon buckets.
Oh, the 5 gallon drums.
Bucket.
Yeah, there's like a logo on it that's like kids are just drawn by some sort of death drive to these buckets to go in. Ass over tea kettle and drown in like this much water.
Oh Jesus!
No.
Okay, well maybe
enough
we don't
to have a sticker about it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Tell your kids to watch that shit. Don't.
Yeah, so we've got a little mop bucket. It's not a full 5 gallon bucket, so it's so
good.
Maybe that'll be better. I don't.
Just checking.
I'm running it through my mind. Maybe that'll be worse. I don't know.
Kids love buckets.
Kids love buckets. That much we can all agree on.
I'm protecting your child with this morbid line of thought.
Yeah.
I had a teacher who was like a Christian brother who said he'd drown you. If you did anything bad, he said, "I'll drown you in a teacup." And I never really knew what that meant. But
was he an ant? I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't know. But
is that like shove a teacup down someone's throat, or like is that some kind of?
Hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, it's weird when old kind of monks tell you they're going to kill you. That's cool.
Yeah,
I guess it was kind of normal, so I don't know.
Can anyone yes and this nightmare conversation?
No, but I have a redirect here.
Okay.
Well, can I take care of a tiny bit of nightmare housekeeping?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I just need to say publicly, people have been asking about our Brian Stills situation. And we speaking of disappointment, we just need to work out a couple things. I think Janine is going to be back next week, and we'll talk to her a little bit. But I just wanted to address some of that a little bit. We'll get our ducks in a row, and I think things are angling towards the North Star of what it means to be like a competent content maker. And we're going to get that shit on lock for next week and the weeks after, perhaps. I just wanted to, while we were getting all like the diarrhea out at once, I figured perhaps this was the time for that as well. So
okay, great. Yeah.
You feel better now?
And then I guess like that leads me to my next question here. Does your shirt say Jake Dillon? Are you like a big Wallflowers guy?
No, this says Jackie Dona.
Okay.
Are you unaware?
Daytona.
Are you unaware of the television program?
Yeah. Real human bartender.
Right?
Yeah.
What we do in the shadows. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Bless
and
my
my hat does say hat.
Did you get a tattoo? Did you have a tattoo under that of Jacob Dylan's signature? Is there like? You just
don't worry about myself and Jonah Hill. All kinds of brand new chest tattoos this week. Very exciting.
It's a big week for chest tattoos. I'm going to go get an AK-47 like my hero Beardo. What were we talking about? Video games? You want to talk about some video games?
Yeah.
Great.
It sounds like you did play a new video game.
I did play a new video game. Yes. Rumbleverse. This is one of the games that got announced at the Game Awards, and then was playable for about 8 hours the day after the Game Awards. So yeah, this is I've been playing versions of this for some time now. Iron Galaxy, the makers of Dive Kick and the later seasons of Killer Instinct and Racketeer and Extinction, and so on and so forth.
Purveyors of lots of online shithousery.
Can confirm.
This is theirs, and Epic is publishing this in February. And so
it's that soon.
Yeah. So, as people listening to this podcast probably well know, I have known some of the folks at that studio for a pretty long time. And so
Is this your shill warning?
Yes, basically. Like I just, so just take it with a grain of salt. Like I just want to make people aware. That said, I really like it. So
be easier for
you don't give that warning and then say like, and I think the game's dog shit. Like that's, that doesn't work. Doesn't make much sense.
I like that. Yeah.
So what is it? Is it? It's like a cartoony fighting game, but it's open world. Is it? It
is a 40-player battle royale with a wrestling theme. So an actual battle royale.
It is actually Suplex City. Like they did it.
Yes,
they made a Suplex City.
They made a Suplex City.
Wow.
They built this city on suplexes.
Real shame they couldn't get that name.
Yeah.
That would have been real good.
Would have been all right.
They probably legally couldn't call it Suplex City, but I believe they've called it Grappital City in the name of the.
That's good.
In the lore. It's a wrestling themed battle royale game. So it's like very melee focused, and you are picking up steel chairs and baseball bats and things of that nature. And they have given it some fighting game-esque systems for things like dodging out of the way or wake up attacks and just the kind of rock, paper, scissory sort of stuff that you expect from like a fully fledged kind of melee system. There's maybe a little bit of like the No Mercy style of like hold down the grapple button to do a strong grapple, like hold down attack to do a charged up attack. Like there's little bits of that. You have a bubble around you when you block, like a Smash Brothers, which is disgusting. Goddamn. There was a question, I forget how many months ago now, but someone wrote in to be like, do you think battle royales are completely done? And at the time I was like, there's one I can think of that I think could be pretty cool. And this was that. It's just neat. There's like, you kind of have the Zelda style climbing of like stamina meter and climb up the side of a building. And then once you're up there, you can just jump off and try to line up an elbow drop off of a gigantic skyscraper. Or if there's someone up there, you can fucking Irish whip them off the top or suplex them off the top or whatever. And they're just, it's got moments like that feel real good.
Is it all melee? Like there's no like
you can throw weapons. So if you have a bat or something like that, you can throw it, but there's no like, you're not picking up a gun. You're not picking up, that's not like you're not throwing fireballs. It's not like a ranged attack kind of thing, but anything you pick up, like the big chicken you can eat to recover health, or the skill books you find to learn wrestling moves. That's probably actually, so you find books with different tiers of different wrestling moves, and so you can find like kind of a Stone Cold Stunner equivalent or like a Sweet Chin Music equivalent. So you can just bust out super kicks, and that stuff's really satisfying to land. Like when that stuff hits, you go like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm messing these people up. This feels great.
Is there any character classes and stuff, or is it all just like custom?
No, it's all like, it's got body size and stuff, but that's all just cosmetic. So it's not like you're making a like high flyer versus a grappler versus everyone's got the same kind of basic set of moves at their disposal, regardless of size and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you can just kind of customize however you like. Got a very cartoony art style, and it's one of those things where it's like
look good.
Yeah, it looks. I feel like the game looks better than the trailer. Like the trailer, I don't know, did it too many favors in terms of it just didn't really say what the game was on top of everything else. So it was just kind of like, huh?
Yeah, I saw some like Twitch clips or something of like a couple of seconds here and there of it, and it looked pretty tasty. I guess I'm not surprised it's out in February because it does look like it's pretty far along.
I think they've been.
It's going to do early access or anything.
So I think if the wording of the press release, I don't actually know, but I think the wording of the press release seems to imply that will be a form of an early access launch.
Okay. Makes sense.
That maybe it's free to play eventually, but this is if you buy the starter pack, you get. I'm not actually sure how they're doing that aspect of it. The press release seemed to make it sound like that could be the way they're going with it. And there's menus in there for like Battle Pass and challenges and unlockables and all that sort of stuff. So, they're definitely, I mean, Epic's publishing it, and they are well versed in how to make money on a battle royale game, as I understand it. So I would not be shocked to see a lot of stuff of that nature.
I wonder if you will have that sort of like Fortnite, whenever there's like a sort of another game du jour that's in like a close enough genre, you get a little bit of that crossover where people kind of go and have a little bit of fun over there for a while. I wonder if they'll enjoy some of that with the Epic situation.
I wonder.
I hope so, because obviously the Epic going only on Epic also does limit them in other ways, because there's people who just are diehard Steam fans, right? Don't want to.
Yeah. It's on consoles as well. So you'll get access to it that way as well. But it's neat. Like it's the sort of thing that it probably needs a tutorial and stuff to kind of teach when you spawn on the ship before you launch in a cannon over to the island where you fight, or the city where you fight, like they have billboards up that kind of have hints about like, hey, if you hold down this button, it does this, and this is why you would do that. And like they're good little tips, but it seems like if for people that might not have any of the tools in place already from like playing fighting games, like it might need something just to say like, hey, here's what you're doing and why.
Right.
To kind of make some of those systems make sense to like a wider range of people. But it's there's that feeling of like, I am standing at the edge of a building and I have the choke slam, and I am going to grab this button and then choke slam someone off the building and just fly down and just leave a big crater in the ground and all that sort of stuff. Like that's the thing about this game, is you're like, okay, when all that stuff lines up, like you get just ridiculous moments that are just like, I want to watch that over and over again because of how bad I fucked that guy up.
Is there much of the environment? You said like you could climb buildings and stuff. Like, is there any other environmental stuff? Like, can you like pick up cars or jump on them or pick up lampposts?
So cars bounce when you jump on them. Like you can use them like trampolines, which is then you can then try to line up an elbow drop off of a car bounce. And street signs and stuff like that. You can pick up garbage cans. You can pick up, and you can kind of Irish whip people into buildings and that sort of stuff.
Nice.
Standard.
I saw a video where somebody like, it looked like they chained jumps and got like super high or something. Is that the thing?
Yeah. Yeah, if you bounce, like you can go from like car to like, there's like Sonic the Hedgehog looking bumpers in the world too that'll launch you different directions, and so I saw someone that had like, I think they had landed their super on a car, and so it bounced them up again, and then they just kind of bounced like 4 times or something. Like there's some crazy stuff in there, and it's a battle. The ring gets smaller, you stay in the ring, you fight. Last man standing type thing.
What do you get at the end? Did they have a name for the thing?
I won a few months. I've won a few of them. Not during this most recent test, but I don't know.
Chicken
don't
Royale Rumble.
Well, the chicken is the food. Like you use chicken to just recover health. Like you just walk around with Final Fight big meats and
putting that right in your butt is what you do.
Is there like a phone booths you can punch to get apples and turkeys?
No, nothing. There are vending machines, I think, that stuff will come out of. But yeah, you do have an inventory, and there's like an upgrade system in game by you eating. Like drinking like nutrition powders or whatever for arms, legs, and body.
Awesome. They have steroids in there. Great.
Basically, yeah. I mean, yes, some of these people worked on Blitz the League, so.
Oh my God. I need to approach those guys about it. Like, just say we're doing a documentary on Rumbleverse, but actually just do one on Blitz the League, because that's the only. I want to talk about.
Guarantee that they have stories about working on Blitz the League, and I'm sure that they would be interested in telling you a lot about Blitz the League.
Blitz the League 2 is my favorite football game of all time. It's just terrific.
Cool.
Yeah, those are cool fucking games. But it has that kind of like the art style reminds me of like a Ready to Rumble boxing in that kind of cartoony sort of way, and like there's just like little bits of like that old Midway vibe to this thing in a way that like games kind of don't have so much of anymore. So it's I don't know, it's neat. check it out when it's out in February. The Forgotten City. I have heard some really amazing things about the Forgotten City. Danny, tell me more about it.
Yeah, I'm conscious of
too.
Yeah, it's one of these games that kind of I feel like is having a second conversation now as we're into, Game of the Year cleanup. It's one of those games that you can kind of complete in 5 or 6 hours. So a lot of people are getting around to it. Yeah. I'm conscious of the fact that I'm also like shilling. We just put up a documentary about it this week, so on No Clip. So the reason I was playing it this weekend, I didn't actually produce the doc. It was Jake Decker, our old colleague from GameSpot. He actually works as a video producer for Obsidian now, but they were very kind and let him work on this thing for us on weekends. But the Forgotten City it's basically I won't get too much into the backstory on it, but it was a Skyrim mod back in like 2016, I think it was, developed by a guy in Australia who had never made a game before. He was a lawyer actually, and he was just doing this in his spare time. And basically it won a bunch of writers awards. He wanted to write a book, but he did this instead. He wanted to make a game, but he couldn't write on a game before he started one, so he just kind of threw this mod together. But yeah, it ended up winning a bunch of like Writers Guild awards and stuff like that, and then eventually he decided to turn it into a full game. So this game, I think there was still like only 3 in the core team. Him, like one guy who did all the rendering. It's an Unreal Engine game. It looks terrific. And then a handful of other contributors like as well. But the game basically takes place in and I won't spoil anything. In the first opening, you basically learn that you're transported to a city, which is it's kind of a Roman era city. So transported back in time to this place where there are a bunch of characters, and essentially they live under a rule called the Golden Rule, which means that if anyone in the society sins, then they will all die. And you were basically brought in, you were summoned by the magistrate here, opened a time portal for you to come back and basically figure out who's going to lie and try and stop it from happening before everyone dies. It's a loop game, so it's a lot of like shit. Like if you steal something in the world, then all the fucking statues come to life and start killing you. It's like if you do anything that like commits a sin, and it can happen in conversations. So it's largely a non-combat game. They have small situations where there's a tiny bit of that, but mostly what you're doing is having conversations with people, getting to know everyone, trying to figure out the different personalities, trying to like solve problems for them, and it's just like a really great tight experience where you are like trying to solve this problem. It does a great job of like making sure you're never lost. Like it keeps everything on a sort of objective, kind of like Deathloop does, where it keeps everything nice and tidy for you and lets you know where the sort of mission strands are. The voice acting is terrific. The writing is really good because it's one of these like Socratic games, right? It's all about philosophy, like what is a sin? Like there are characters.
Yeah, you're telling me it has combat in it, but like
very like very very little, and it serves
sin-free combat.
Well. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay,
so I won't get into it.
Yeah, that's probably one of the questions that it gets you to think about, right?
Yeah, totally. And like also like there are people in the society who are there are Greeks living among Romans who share a lot. Roman religion is very much based on the Greek gods and that sort of polytheistic thing. And then there are also some maybe Christians in the mix here as well, and some of the things that they consider sins, maybe the other people don't consider sins. So it's a very good, like the whole game is an interesting sort of philosophical tableau for them to explore a lot of stuff about history and about sort of cultures overriding each other and about religion and about like all of these like interesting sort of there's literally one part where you sit down with a guy who's just like, let's engage in a Socratic dialogue about but it's also funny and it's lighthearted and it has interesting characters in it which would echo like contemporary discussions we would have about like the morality of like how we treat people who are mentally ill, or the morality of different sexual orientation. Like a lot of this stuff is in there, and it's like it's handled really well. It's a very smart game. There's kind of multiple endings to it. There's like a sort of canon ending, but then there are also like interesting different endings that you can sort of create on your way to the canon ending, and they highlight where you are on the sort of ending path in a delicate way as well. It's really good. I think it's even better when you consider the size of the team, but I would definitely recommend folks give it a go. And I basically completed it in one day. Just kind of sat down and did it in
I didn't know it was
6
so
hours.
short, but that's like a selling point for me, actually. I feel like the longer a time loop game is, the more you get like fed up with it, sort of. Like if you're going to do a time loop game, it's like you can't do it so long that it loses its intrigue, you know. But now that I know it's about like philosophical stuff too, I'm like way on board. Nobody told me that, so I gotta play this now.
It also does some really interesting stuff with time loops to keep it from being annoying in a way that was really clever. And the guy actually talked about on the doc, which I was excited about because I was like, yes, absolutely. Where they come up with some like really, basically it's like, it never, like 12 minutes is like probably the worst example, where you're just like, I mean, for a lot of reasons, but specifically you're like, okay, I'm back here and I gotta go hide in the closet, and like there's just like you're like sitting there and you're waiting, and this game, without getting into it, like introduces some really smart elements, and even like a character that is explicitly designed to bypass everything you've done before. So you really only ever have to like solve a problem once.
That's cool.
And it's really, really smart about it.
It's elegant. It works. It's smart, and it takes your hands out of that problem disappears overnight. It's really funny. His inspiration for that as well was Groundhog Day, because they were like, oh, they just montaged everything, but we can't montage it, so how do I do it in the game in a way that makes sense? And it's you know what it is? It's one of these games where you can tell this was the second time they made it. You know, they made this game already, and they're like, you know what? Because the original is like, you know, it's all Skyrim-y, so it's all, you know, based in some, you know, it's all, none of it's in Rome or anything. So it's elegant the way they sort of went around, you know, transposing those characters, but then also like fleshing out the world, fleshing out the lore of it, and then also like really utilizing what Rome gives you and what like that culture and that era sort of allows. It's written by somebody who like knew the story they were telling.
Nice. That's
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think all I'd heard about it was it's a time loop game that started as a Skyrim mod, and no one had really gotten into the Skyrim
mod part.
No one had gotten into that. That sounds fantastic. So while we're on our loop game train, Outer Wilds.
Yeah, I'm
Jess, you're getting into the DLC here.
Yeah, I'm fresh out of completing the Outer Wilds. I absolutely adored it. Oh my god. Play this thing. I don't know why it took me so long to play it. I cannot believe nobody spoiled me on it. And I'm not going to spoil it either. But I think it's one of those games where it's like the ending is so fantastic. And like, not only do you not want to spoil it for other people, but even if you did want to spoil it, wow, Bacalar's gone.
I'm gone.
He's had enough.
He's like, I don't want to hear. I don't want to see.
Oh my gosh.
Spoilers, please.
His reactions to this are spoiling the game, so we had to censor him. Bingo got to him.
Bingo, no.
Bingo, yes.
But like, not only do you not want to spoil it for other people, but I feel like I don't have the language to accurately even tell somebody how the ending goes, because it has such a really amazing and meaningful emotional core to it that you can't sum up without having played the game, like the whole game, and been through all this stuff and seen all these amazing things and solved all these incredible mysteries. And it's just like, wow, holy shit, like, play this thing, just play the damn thing. Like, I was terrible at flying, though, just saying. So if you want to solve mysteries but you're terrible at flying, get a pilot. Assign your friend to be a pilot, and it's a great like couch co-op experience, even though it's not like literally a couch co-op game. I feel like, you know, the puzzles are so incredibly like just hooked up in intricate ways into this entire universe. And it takes like more than one brain to kind of notice different things and have like we'll have different aha moments that build and bounce off each other in really amazing ways. So like I really recommend playing with a friend, honestly. So that's what I want to say about how fucking good it was. Oh my god. And yeah, I just barely started
the DLC. Yeah, okay, cool.
Just barely and it's so good already.
How's the DLC work with this? Because I only played the regular version. Is it like it's separate without giving a stuff away, so it's a separate campaign in a way? You just sort of like start a new thing?
Yeah, like it's related to the stuff that you saw in the main campaign.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, it is not
that game also scared the shit out of me in a way that
I loved it. I loved
feel
that.
Like people don't talk about enough.
If
I love that people don't talk about that.
Yeah. If you're one of the people who got scared about that, the DLC has elements that are far more horror-y than
cool.
Like,
so
to the point
excited.
where some people have like kind of stepped out of it. I thought they were really good, but it's
let me describe to you. I feel like the things that I suffered from in the first game in terms of being a little
the fish,
scaredy cat.
Was it something like
no,
that?
it was more just like endlessness of space and kind of like.
Oh no, you're fine then. You're fine.
Yeah, there was something about like it was almost like an existential terror rather than like a jump scare about a creature.
I think what's really interesting about the Outer Wilds is that like I think the ending will hit even harder if you are scared of that, because I feel like the ending is really, it kind of takes that fear and turns it into like embracing like that infiniteness and accepting your place in.
I've tried to do that with my therapist.
The cycle of things. So I know, but it's like the Outer Wilds managed it. I don't know why. But there was like a strange. It's like a bittersweet like comfort to the end that I didn't expect to find in the end of the Outer Wilds, especially when there was like a lot of like scary sort of bits to it. But I'm very excited to see even more little scary bits in the DLC. I'm very, very stoked about it. We're like 2 hours in and it's like, holy fuck, this is so cool. Oh my God.
In terms of how it sort of like rests into the game, the easiest way to explain it for me would be, do you remember when they added that island to World of Warcraft? Where you could go to it, but like when they had to add a new world, it's like that. The game doesn't have a separate executable. You can do both or one thing or whatever. It's all sort of tied in. Like it's kind of like it's almost like a content patch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it kind of works with everything else. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Like it's separate, but it still fits into like the general like lore and events of the universe, basically that is already established.
Cool.
So
speaking of piloting, what about that pilot in Halo Infinite?
Do you not like him?
Whiny motherfucker.
I don't like him. He's scared, man. He just wants to get back to his family.
Yeah,
fuck that guy.
Still upset about him.
And John is just like, no, I need an enemy. I need to murder someone.
I'm busy murdering. Stay on your ship, dumbass.
Who's next
I don't like that guy either.
The objective has changed.
I'm on the couch
What's the pilot's
watching.
name?
What's
the pilot's name?
They just refer to him as the pilot for much of the...
Oh, cool. He sounds important.
I guess I don't want to spoil. I don't want to talk about that part of the game.
Yeah.
I guess. I
don't do that.
He's a good foil for showing just how murderous Master Chief is. Master Chief is just like the tip of the colonial like spear. Like he is just all he wants to. And I'm not that far into the game, but you can kind of see them. I think that's kind of what they're setting up. Maybe is just like
this game is about the humanity or lack thereof of the Master Chief compared to the humanity of an AI and a pilot guy who was shitting his pants every 5 minutes. Like
how many times do you see Johnny Halo without his helmet on in the entire canon?
0. One. There's one. There's like a legendary ending where you see it, like you get a quick glimpse.
Oh yeah.
As someone who's not played.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's
it's
really
crazy
that's
frogs under there.
So weird. So I haven't played any of this new one. Just to be clear, I played the multiplayer. That's it. I just wanted to say, like, maybe there's still room for the truth to come out that Johnny Halo himself, not only is he a doctor, but he's also himself an AI. Is what maybe they should do.
Dun,
He's a robot.
dun.
He's a
I
robot.
think, but I think the story they're telling is that,
Okay.
hey, what if this AI who lives in your head had more humanity than you?
Right.
Yeah, but
Because
that
you
would
are
be,
so
yes.
focused as a child soldier and all this other stuff, and
That's-
you are such the murder man. Like the whole plot of the game spins on what is it like to be this murder man for the past 20 years.
Sure,
Where you
sure.
are just a tool that gets deployed, and you are just like, all right, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm riding this bomb back to this other ship, whatever. Like you're the improvise in the field, best way to murder everyone guy. Like, what does it mean to be the
while
guy?
quipping.
Yeah, well,
But-
he doesn't. I mean, yeah, he quips a little bit, but the lady
While
in your head
one-linering
does
about how
all
fucking
of
cool he is.
But that
the lady.
sounds to
The
me-
lady in your head does all the quipping. Really, it's
Yeah.
like annoying up to a
That-
point.
It's a bit
but-
much.
Yeah, it's annoying.
yeah.
That just sounds
I-
to me
I'm-
like a
I'm
lot
like-
of 19. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm through osmosis getting some Halo Infinite because my partner's playing it and I'm just chilling on the couch doing Animal Crossing or something like that. And man, the dialogue is driving me nuts. It's so like annoying. Everyone's
It's
so
the-
annoying to me.
Yeah, and they're
That's just
trying
Halo,
to
though, right?
like,
That's
I guess
it's not
so.
Like they
I don't
changed
know.
it up
Yeah.
much.
I have
well,
no
so I
clue,
think
but-
they kind of this is the pivot, right? Because I think that like especially when you look at where Halo 4 and 5 seemed to be heading, like this story is not about that resolution per se. And if it is, a lot of that's buried in audio logs. Like this game just opens with just like new faction, new big guy thrown into space. Who the fuck is this guy? I don't know. Let's find out over the next 12 hours. And then you sort of get the answer to that question. But really what you're doing is this rumination on just like the concept of the Master Chief and the things they try to build over the course of the game. I like they're just like the characters that this AI and this pilot I think are too new to the franchise to have earned the place that they are given in this story. And so it just kind of comes off as a little like, as this guy's freaking out, just wanting to go home, you're like, dude, just shut up. Like, I don't care about you. You're just another fucking dumbass. Like, it just like whatever. Like, especially as you're like saving, like if he was the only human in the entire story, maybe they could have gotten there. But you are saving Marines left and right.
Yeah.
Marines are spawning at every single base. You're honking. They're getting in, going like, thanks, Chief. Let's go fucking smoke, motherfuckers. And you're like, yeah, you're my fucking dude. This guy on the ship fucking sucks. He's like, I don't want to bring you a warthog. It's so dangerous. Fuck you. Get in the fucking warthog. We're fucking going shooting. Like, that's
Wow.
Master Chief. And so, like, that story ends up being really weird because it doesn't give the lady in your head or the pilot like enough time to like matter set against the like actual missions you're carrying out and stuff like that, and it just becomes like they just become the quip machines, and then there's the pivot of just like, wow, this is really serious, and you're like, you have not earned the right to pull this on me now, pilot man. I don't care about you. And I think they hang a little bit too much on that stuff in the story, and it just kind of that's the part for me that doesn't work, is the story, because the state of the world, big faction stuff, the massive things that are happening, those are the things that they kind of just gloss over or put in an audio log or end the game without describing an entire thing to you at all, in a way that you're just like and then you read it's a great game, but I think when you go read the piece that Schreier put together, and you know, it's I feel like this is something that is dogged. Probably, I think all of 343's Halo games. Certainly, I think 4 went through this process of like, the whole story got pulled apart and like aspects of it, you know, like there was that whole story about 4 where like, oh, everything about the didact was supposed to be here, here, and here, but the missions got rearranged at the last minute, and we had to piece this together and do all this other shit, and it was just a mess that still came out, and you're like, this is still okay, but like when you hear about how much of a mess it was, you go like, oh, that's why these things are missing. When you see that story and you think about just like the delays that this game had and all this other stuff, there's definitely an aspect of just like, yeah, I see why there are like large gaping holes in this story that are very quickly patched over in a way that says like, maybe we'll get to this in some story DLC, or maybe we'll address this later, or maybe we won't, because like it feels like they very much like focused on like, okay, this is the story we can tell with these missions. without having to go render a ton of new cutscenes, and also like it has that feel in a way.
Yeah.
Where like I think it's an incredible video game, but I think like the story part of it, you just look at it and go like, ugh, yeah.
It's so bizarre because you like this is supposed to be like the conclusion to like the Forerunner saga or whatever, right? So it's like
the Reclaimer saga or whatever. What are they end up calling it? Yeah.
It's basically like if instead of Halo 3, they just skipped right to Halo 4 and told the story of Halo 3 in audio logs.
Yes, exactly.
It's very strange.
You are exactly right. That is, yes, like the conclusion they were building to over the course of those two games. Like, hey, Cortana has ensnared all these other AIs and they sure hate humanity. Like, I won't get too much more specific than that because it does get into spoiling the last third of the game if we do. But like, there's just that stuff is there's a lot of stuff explained off screen, and there's a lot of stuff that is like just very hastily kind of like revealed to you in like a very like you just see some holograms of some flashbacks, and you just go like, okay, I guess, all right.
Yeah. I'm really curious. Yeah, I don't know why they went that direction. I mean, for me, it's like, I think if I was still like the Halo fan I was back in like high school, I'd be like furious, like how dare they not like properly conclude the story. But like I actively hated the story in Halo 5, so I think I'm just sort of like cool, like get that shit out of the way. I don't care. I just give me Master Chief on Halo doing Halo things.
Yeah, I think that pivot makes a ton of sense too, from the aspect of just like where Halo 5's story got to, and the nature of the Prometheans, and just like all that stuff just never came together. So I think they're right to just go like, all right, let's just hey, these Halo Wars 2 guys are sure mad. Let's talk to them for a game. Like I think it makes for a much better video game, and I think like in that, like it's a very successful video game. But like when you think about it in the context of all the other Halo games and all that other stuff, it feels weird.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm probably having a very different experience, and I'm probably not alone in this, but like I have never regarded the fiction of Halo as anything that I should care about.
Yes, of course.
In the same way that I have... No, but like, obviously it's not. Like there are people like Jean-Luc who grew up with this... No, but there are people who grew up with this as in a formative era, right? Where they felt that was the case. Or in Jeff's case, like connected with it and cared about this character and all that sort of stuff. So it's never one size fits all for people, right? And I feel like for me, like regarding it in the same breath I would the lore of like Quake or Doom or Gears of War, it's just like window dressing that oftentimes just got in the way of what I thought was a good game. For me, I think this is terrific because at least it tells... I totally get that the story doesn't like... And I'm not that far and I haven't seen the ending, so there's all those caveats. But I like that... The one thing I was worried about starting this game, and I suspect that an element of this is the reaction to 5, the timeline since then, and just how many new younger players there are, that there was none at the start of this game where I felt like I wasn't in on the loop. I thought that it told me enough of that stuff and then started its own narrative between these three characters, which up to now point I think is totally fine and also doesn't get in the way of me going off and doing all this fun shit in the world. So like if there was a version of this game where they cared about that stuff, I would be fucking so bored of the story. So I'm at least happy that it got out of the way for me. But I can see
that's a good point. Like it definitely it's a lot more self-contained than Halo 3 was as a game that was closing out a trilogy. But I guess that's the thing is like I'm not really a huge Halo guy per se. Whereas I didn't really like the game at all until Halo 3 came out, and then liked that trilogy, that 360 trilogy of Halo 3, Halo Reach, and ODST. Yeah. I thought were just cool fucking games. And that kind of got me on board with it. And then, I reviewed Halo 4 and 5, so that's kind of how I know anything about those campaigns at all. But it's that feeling of just like there's... I don't know. It's like they wrote a lot of checks and then get to this game and just try to make you forget that any of that happened. And it's an interesting approach that I think is like probably, like you said, I think it's probably better they pivoted away from that stuff for a variety of reasons. I think the variety of enemies in this game is more interesting to fight than a lot of that Promethean stuff from 4 and 5. I think the weapons of the Prometheans are fucking weird and dumb. So like getting back to basics in a way makes a lot of sense. You've got a game that was originally supposed to be a launch game on a new console. There's a lot of stuff there that you go like, there's a lot of great reasons to reset and get back to Halo. I just feel like the things they threw out to get there it is bold of them. It's messy. Yeah. It's like, and they try to tie it up in audio logs and they try to tie it up in little bits and pieces, but like, you know, when you're out there running around and you're just like, oh, here's a random UNSC audio log, and you pick it up and it's like, here's Admiral Halsey talking to John Halo years ago before there was a thing. You're like, why is this sitting here? Why is this here? Why would this one be here? Why isn't it a Marine recording it going like, they're fucking everywhere. We're going to die. We're all dead. And they're like, isn't that the audio log that would be there? The fucking,
that was weird.
Yeah, it's like, who is holding on to this and then setting down this like glowing, blinking fucking future iPad and then getting smoked by fucking grunts or whatever. Like, it's just like, even that stuff just has a weird feel to it.
I was like, oh, so are you telling me? Because I thought that even stood out to me as somebody who has like no eyes on this at all. So I was like, oh, they'll probably explain why that would be here, but they don't. It's like,
no, that doesn't make any sense, because some of them are just like a Marine going like, shit, it's fucking bad out here on the Halo. There's a lot of dudes here, and so it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just silly. But it's a fantastic game. Like the grappling hook's fucking incredible. It's so much fun to just like, I'm playing through the campaign again much more slowly, and I'm going and getting skulls this time because I didn't find any when I was playing it for the review. And the first couple of missions are not replayable, so if you don't get them then you miss them, so it's kind of a good reason to go get them. And yeah, it's been just fun grappling around that world and doing all that stuff. And yeah, when they finally get campaign co-op into that thing, I think that'll be rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gunplay is terrific. The cinematics I'm really impressed by. The like sense of scale as they like do these oneers, these one shots where they go from like weapon, the little AI to Master Chief, and even the sense of scale between Master Chief and the pilot at the start. They did a really good job setting up just all that like. All that stuff is super slick, and I'm a huge fan. Can we have more multiplayer unlocks in the campaign? I think that is the cool. Like, what an incentive for me to go and open all of these chests. Yeah.
That's the other reason I'm doing this too. Is like, now that I'm playing more multiplayer, which today's the day they're adding Slayer and Free for All and some of the other stuff to the game. That stuff should be in there by now, I think. So yeah, I'm probably going to start playing a lot more of that, assuming my internet works well enough to do so. And yeah, going through and get that. I wish that some of that stuff was more interesting, the campaign stuff, because a lot of it is just like an armor shader or like a gun. Like I found one, like a skin for the rocket launcher that's just like, this is a slightly different gray. I'm like, okay, cool.
Nice.
Sick.
Yeah. But some of them are good and cool and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, good on them. Like that's, I think there's like a lot of stuff that like it's fascinating, right? I think the approach they took with the story, like for as much as I like have complaints about things that don't get addressed in full, and you can see some of those holes there, even if you don't know anything about the backstory of development or delay or anything at all. Like, I think they made a lot of very smart calls in what they chose to focus on in the game, and then the story they did try to tell. I think it makes a ton of sense why they would do all that stuff, and it's just super fucking fun.
Yeah, it's a good Halo.
It's a good Halo. That's nice. It's nice when that works out. We'll take ourselves a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some news. What do you say?
Sounds
Let's
good.
do it.
There's news.
Mental health. Are you taking care of it? I'm going to say odds are you're not. I think a lot of people, are kind of letting this pass off to the side. But hey, these last couple of years, kind of been a lot. kind of been a lot. It's 2021, so maybe make mental health a thing for you if you're struggling. Because therapy can help. It doesn't have to be, you sitting around talking about your feelings. Therapy can kind of adjust to be whatever you need it to be. You can privately talk to someone if you feel like you're not dealing well with stress or you're having relationship issues, that sort of thing. Whatever you need, you don't need to be ashamed about it. These are normal human struggles. And you deserve to be happy, right? I mean, come on. Come on, you're you. You don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help, because now there's BetterHelp. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So, you want to be on camera, you can. You don't have to be, though. It can be more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about and see if it's for you, because you are your greatest asset. You can get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp by going to betterhelp.com/bombcast. That's betterhelp.com/bombcast. Colorful underwear and socks delivered to your house? Could it be possible? It's true. Stance is making it a reality. Stance, they sent some socks over here that are very brightly colored, but if you're looking for something a little more incognito, they got no-shows. No-show socks, baby. They're back. They never left. What are you talking about? We're talking about Stance. Stance was founded in 2009, and Stance apparel represents a radical reinvention of socks, t-shirts, and more. They're focusing on comfort, quality, and creativity to bring an atypical aesthetic alongside some of pop culture's hottest collaborators for the ultimate in style and self-expression. Because everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel, if that's what you're looking for, right? They got abstract designs, they got some licensed stuff. They got like the Wu-Tang Clan and Major League Baseball, Harry Potter. Everyone loves Harry Potter. Marvel, Pixar, Barbie. All of these brands could be on your feet. Or, they've got original stuff too. If you're just like, brands, get away. They sent over some more kind of abstract designs that, you don't have to make your ankles look like a billboard if that's just not your thing, right? And they're socks. You wear them on your feet. They feel good. You put shoes on over the socks. Maybe you don't. I don't know. What are you doing? You staying home? You just looking for some socks for a little bit of heat around the feet? They got you. The Stance philosophy is that a perfect fit is more important than simply fitting in. And that those that feel good do good. Go see for yourself. Just head on over to stance.com and pick out whatever styles you like. Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. Cereal, it's good. I like it when it's crunchy and crispy. I like it when it starts to get a little soggy in most cases. It's just good. It's cereal. That's what it's there for, to be good in the morning or really whenever. I was going to say any time of day, but I can't think. When was the last time you had cereal for lunch? I can't think of that. But late night, dinner time? I've been there. Breakfast, first thing, roll out of bed? Absolutely. They call it breakfast cereal for a reason. But, you can break the rules. And breaking the rules has never been easier than it is right now because of Magic Spoon. That's right, Magic Spoon. Regular breakfast cereal, it's full of stuff. You're gonna eat a whole box of regular ass off the shelf breakfast cereal? You gonna do that? And then what? All your teeth are gonna fall out of your head from all the sugar, and what are you, carbo loading? What are you doing? Hey, you can cut down on all that stuff because Magic Spoon is here for you to offer a healthier alternative to the standard breakfast cereal. How healthy? What are we talking about here? Let's get to some numbers. Let's get some stats, some facts. 0 grams of sugar, 13 or 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. It's only 140 calories per serving, and it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. They got flavors. Everyone's, you want to. It's not like a one-size-fits-all. You got to have your own flavor. You got to try a variety of flavors. You got to mix it up. You got to live life on the edge. That's what Magic Spoon is here to help you do, because this variety pack has 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. So you can get out there in a variety of ways. They have even more flavors outside of the variety pack. The offers, there is depth to the Magic Spoon bench, is what we're saying here. They're going to feel the whole they're going to go all the way this year. And you can too. Go to magicspoon.com/bomb to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code BOMB at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed up with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it, if you're not happy, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/bomb and use the code BOMB to save $5 off. Wow! A saving! And we're back, and it's time to talk about some news. Yes, the news. It is time. It's December, but there's actually some stuff happening. There's a little odds and ends. Not everyone is left for an early holiday break just yet. The Game Awards happened.
And did they?
I've been busy.
Yes,
Fellow Jeff.
Yes. I believe the 4th and final episode of my 4-episode run on the Behind the Game Awards, or I should know what it's called, honestly, but it's on Spotify. It's a
Behind
4-episode.
the Game Awards.
That sounds like, because
Right
Keely's like a Behind the Games. That's him. So
Yeah.
wouldn't this be Behind the Game
Behind
Awards,
the
or it
Game
might
Awards.
also be Inside the Game Awards? I should know this.
Backstage at the Game Awards.
2 Jeffs,
Yeah.
1 pod.
Yep. That's I think that's us. Except we're like 4 Jeffs now. I think 5, 7. I don't know.
Maximum over Jeff.
Too many
Yeah.
J's on this podcast. I feel overwhelmed.
Easy. Take it easy.
Yeah. I'm always saying that. A lot of JOs around here. Yeah, so I don't know. Alan Wake 2 finally got announced. Felt like that was something that was not. Yeah.
My
So
jam.
the survival
Thank you.
horror thing was after the fact, right? Like, no one, did we surmise that from the...
So Sam Lake gave a couple of interviews.
Got it.
There was one right after where he was kind of on stage with Keely talking about that stuff a little bit, but then I think he went and did some sit downs at a couple of other outlets. And so there's kind of more detail around that, saying like, yeah, it's more of a survival horror-y kind of thing than Alan Wake 1 was.
I can dig that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. My shit. My
that
bullshit.
seems that seems like a decent direction for them to go with it, like a more focused genre than I don't know. Like I'm interested in Alan Wake 2, and I think what they showed looked really neat, but also I kind of didn't like Alan Wake 1. So like there's story elements about Alan Wake that I love and stuff like that, but the act of playing Alan Wake was just not why I was there. So
Yeah,
Totally.
the gameplay is not my favorite part of the first Alan Wake. I actually did not like Alan Wake the first time I played it because I didn't get that it was taking the piss. Like, I did not get that it was joking about,
I mean,
horror
I think
writers and stuff.
I think it walks the line a little bit too. I mean, it is a
walks the
bit
line a little
serious,
but like
self-serious.
once you like play it with the idea in your mind that this is like a little bit of a parody of like Stephen King stuff, a very loving parody. It's not like, punching down at Stephen King. I guess I'd be punching up. He's incredibly rich. But it's not like making fun of it. It's like ribbing on it a little, like lightheartedly ribbing on it. And I think like I went into it thinking this thing thinks it's so serious. They think they're so amazing. And it's like, no, it's like clearly like a little tongue in cheek, it's a loving, goofy homage to it. And I think like I just went in with the wrong mindset because when I replayed it, I was
don't
like,
blame you,
this
though,
game's
'cause-
like kind of funny actually.
Yeah.
I just didn't get the joke.
It feels like on a second, it's like one of those, because like Remedy were coming off games where they definitely were trying to have their cake and eat it with how serious they were taking it. Like Max Payne 1 and 2 were games that they were they were ribbing, but like they were a little bit high on their own supply when it came to like what they were doing with those games. Like and Alan Wake, you know, it was kind of American Nightmare was kind of where they really nailed that tone.
Yeah,
a bit.
I liked American Nightmare a lot. Yeah.
A little high on that Valkyr, right?
But they've gotten so good now as well. Like
everyone's favorite fake drug.
We did that whole fake drug thing. No one fucking mentioned Valkyr.
Well, that's not from that's just from the movie, right? That's not from the.
No, I think that's in the game.
That's in the game.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's like all in the church, all in the churches and shit. They spray paint that everywhere. Right. It's like two needles making a V like or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Wow. I think Alan Wake, for me, yes, I think it was like 55% I like being in this world and 45% like, flashlight gameplay's all right. You know, like some of that stuff's okay. Like I gotta find batteries and shit. That's a thing. You know, I don't know. I definitely remember swaying up and down on the seesaw being like, okay, now I'm playing it because that one part was all right and I want to see where this goes. Okay, but now I'm playing it because Twin Peaks, Twilight Zone stuff is fun.
Yeah.
Let's see where this one goes. So I'm excited for sure.
Yeah.
And that was, hang on, now I'm sorry, not to just overly hung up. There's a whole award show to talk about. No, I guess they weren't. Alan Wake came out the same like week as like
Deadly Premonition, I want to say.
Was it really?
Oh, wow.
It was like in a month's time. I remember being like, all right, cool. Yeah. Like good year for Twin Peak fans, I guess.
Yeah. 2010.
Red Dead is the game I'm thinking of.
Oh, you're kidding me. Really? Wow.
Was Red Dead later in the summer?
That's a real vampire masquerade.
Like they're 4 days apart. Like Alan Wake was the 14th and Red Dead was the 18th, 2010.
Wow.
And so I remember, I forget where I was, but I was on the road and then I got back and then I just like on a whim just said, I'm going to walk over to the video game store and I'm going to purchase Alan Wake and Red Dead, and came back with both of them, played both of them for a little bit and said, I don't like either of these games.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
And was like, I feel like I was all excited, like new video games, and I'm going to walk down there for whatever weird reason. And took my, little hour-long trip to the game store and then got back and like went through both of them in like, I don't know, probably like 2 or 3 hours. It was like, fuck these things.
Bummer.
So that's my memory of Alan Wake.
That is a bummer.
Well, they are now the studio that has made Control, making this game. Like that's got to be exciting, right?
Yes,
They have gotten better and better every game.
They got
Definitely.
so much better with combat and stuff like that in Control. I found that combat so like satisfying for me personally, and like you compare that to like Alan Wake, it's like no comparison. Like they definitely learned some good shit there.
I mean, they were
excited to see it.
Well, they maybe didn't immediately after Alan Wake, because that was when they made what was that one called? Quantum Break, which had the
Quantum Break.
Boy, that was
woof. Why you got to go ahead and say that that game name? Remind me of that.
What an experience! Like just on paper, like it just like that game. I feel like sums up so much about the Xbox One.
Yeah,
and where Microsoft's heads were at in terms of what they wanted to do with entertainment and television and all this other stuff. Like they had opened their studio and they're like, we're doing this. Well, I guess this Halo show, actually they showed some trailer from that finally.
Yeah, meanwhile.
But that was, they were talking about that stuff then and all the other stuff Microsoft wanted to do. Oh God, Quantum Break.
Quantum Break would have worked if the game was more fun. Like it would have worked because it was well produced. Like it was fine.
Because in a lot of ways, Control feels like the game that like Quantum Break should have been from a gameplay perspective, right? Like they're kind of doing similar stuff.
And
100%.
But like it's just such a weird mess in Quantum Break, and doesn't flow well. Like Control just flows. Like the power to gun to power to like all that stuff just in concert works so well. And then Quantum Break, by the time you feel like you have a handle on it, you have to sit down for half an hour and watch some of the worst television around.
I wonder if they had a huge like drop dead date for that game, so that's why it just ended up being because it's very it's got its blinkers on. It's very linear. It's very like mission by mission. There's not that much variety in the combat.
Well, it just leads to the TV show, and then you make the choices there, right? I mean, like you have a few narrative branches there, but like I imagine that stuff probably got shot ages before the game got done, right?
I mean, they could have knocked out the production. I mean, honestly,
they still needed
feel like
voiceover
at that-
and all that, right? So that elements of the game that needed to get locked in that earlier.
I'm just
too.
guessing, but you got to imagine all that shit gets shot after the game is pretty much baked, right? Like, just because you could do that so much faster.
But I bet they did it faster and probably were done well ahead of time and were like, all right, cool, this is now immutable.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Make sure you drape your game around it properly.
Yeah,
like, I wonder,
yourself.
just what those handcuffs felt like on that stuff. What else? Arc Raiders stood out to me. That's
yes,
Patrick Soderlund and a lot of other
Embark, right?
DICE, Embark Studios. That'll be a free-to-play game. Nexon's involved in that. That was a cool looking trailer that I think showed just like a real good sense of kind of scale and scope for that game that wasn't immediately clear beforehand with the little bit that they had kind of shown.
A lot of ex-DICE people over there, top to bottom. So I think, technically you can kind of see it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Hopefully the gameplay, interesting, sort of lots of drones, lots of big multiplayer stuff. Looks great. Splash of Robin in the trailer. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Like, is there some kind of like Swedish discount you get for using a Robin track? If you're a Swedish studio, is that like
you get like a cultural tax break or something?
Yeah, you get friend prices.
Stick some ABBA.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That would have been, that'd be fine too. Anything else jump out to anyone big?
I'm interested in the 4X Dune game. I'm like, I'll play a Dune strategy game until the cows come home. The first ever. So, like, let's get that spice melange. Let's I don't know. I think it looks like it's going to be a bit, it's not going to be old school, three-way Dune 2 style, but like at least it looks like more what it kind of should be, which is kind of the, the wider, like, intergalactic spice trade and maybe the houses themselves sort of, imposing their will on each other. I think it's definitely a great universe to do it in, and with the new movie, there's a lot more eyes on it too.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, like, that was something when we watched Cybermania 94 yesterday, and Dune 2 was nominated for an award there, and it was just like this moment of like that game being so formative for me, but also for the RTS genre.
Wow, yeah.
And just how huge that thing was. Like you're right. A 4X game is exactly the game they should be making with the Dune license, but it also means I am far less likely to play it.
Me too. Yeah, I don't play those games, so I think this will be like me dipping my toe, maybe just because I enjoy the universe so much.
There's a game. It's called Slitterhead.
Yes.
Slitterhead.
I could hear Jess
fucking call me
across the country.
Say that on Twitch and try not to get banned. Slitterhead. I don't know. Like I said when we were watching the trailers last week on our talking over little event there, it reminded me something out of an Igor music video that is just supremely weird and strange. And I know there's like some Silent Hill DNA / pedigree going around there and
stuff like that too.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. Let's be grossed out and let's play this.
Yeah. I'm all aboard. There's been like, news in the past about like Keiichiro Toyama like starting this new Bokeh Studios and like rumors that, he was working with Akira Yamaoka, the series composer. So we were just like waiting for like, when is this? What are they doing? When is it getting announced? We saw a little bit of concept art of some like kind of buggy, creepy skeletal people. I think, unless that was from something else, I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
were they one of the studios that got wrapped up in the like, this is going to be the new Silent Hill? Because I feel like there were like 4 different studios that were supposedly making the next Silent Hill for a while, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure
sense.
they were, but it's like they're not going to give the IP to somebody else at this rate.
No, it's like they're going to make a pachinko machine that's going to...
They're going to gamble on Silent Hill somehow.
A new team in a
Konami doesn't let people do stuff with their IPs. They keep it, and they try to milk money out of it. They're not going to do some go with it for a while, unless there's a new CEO sometime soon or something. I don't know.
Or not milk money out of it, as it seems to be.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
as
they're
is
very
their
good
custom.
at sitting on
The milk in the cow forever.
We're just going to keep this cow in the shed until it dies.
It's just they're locked in that pattern of like every time someone asks about it, the price for the IP goes up, and everyone just goes like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's not worth that much."
There was also rumors that Bloober Team might be making a Silent Hill thing, and everybody was like, "No, not them, not them, not them, please." So I haven't heard
But it's
any other.
so much fun to say the words Bloober Team.
Bloober Team.
When you
It
think
is.
Funny 'cause
horror,
everyone
think
gets it
Bloober
wrong.
Team.
Everyone gets it wrong. They call them Blooper Team, which is also really
Yeah.
funny to me that nobody can even
Yeah,
get their
that-
silly name right.
They brought that on themselves. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
They
that's,
did.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of good games, can we talk about Thirsty Suitors?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that? I didn't see that.
This is
What's
the
that?
the
Looks-
latest
looks
from
cute.
Outer Loop Games. So now we can have Chandana Ekanaga posting gifs of Thirsty Suitors instead of Falcon Age Falcons doing their little head bob things. Yeah, that game was rad. Falcon Age was an interesting game from a small team. It explored a lot of like themes that you don't often come up in games, and obviously Thirsty Suitors is doing something similar, just sort of like jumping into the Southeast Asian Indian auntie sort of relationship, like suiting, I guess, as well as part of that, and also like the different types of like contemporary Indian people there are around the world. Like, it just seems like it's definitely an area that I'm like, I know nothing about this culture. Let me dive right in. This seems like a fun way to experience and learn about different people's experience of the modern age, especially. It looks wild. It's got like fighting game bits in it and skateboarding game bits in it, and just has a really strong palette, and like the color palette they use for it, kind of like Falcon Age, like just kind of not like crazy saturated, but like doing some stuff. It makes a good first impression. I think that crew does a good job of like selling their games, which I guess you kind of have to when you're making games that are kind of also a little bit like out there. It's not as if people are necessarily screaming for this type of game, so they kind of have to be smart and savvy when they're trying to like pitch it to people, kind of like Falcon Age. So looks neat.
Yeah, definitely. There's, little bits and pieces of just like, okay, Crossfire X has a release date, which I'm really curious to see if anyone in this country will give a shit about Crossfire coming to consoles or Remedy did that campaign, so there's like weird stuff going on there. But like it's just they ran a beta for Crossfire a while ago, and it was like, this is like shitty Counter-Strike. Thanks. So that's just some weird stuff that I guess we haven't heard from Crossfire in a long time. So maybe, interesting that it's still going. I think I was even wondering if that thing was even going to come out. This Matrix thing.
Yeah.
I played it.
Yeah.
I did. I did too. Yeah.
It's cool. So we talked about this. We played a little bit of this last week and watched a YouTube video of some of it as well. And I think the thing I forgot is the thing coming away from that was like, wow, this looks really awesome. If you have and I'm sure if you have 1 million people working on high quality assets, then maybe your game can look like this someday too, which is like highly limiting. But I guess you kind of forget that like one of the things they're doing alongside this is like there is an Unreal Engine asset store, the same way you hear a lot about the Unity store for devs to pluck stuff from. Epic acquired a company, I believe it's called Quixel, not that long ago, that is out there generating assets.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so maybe it does create a path for smaller teams to leverage existing assets out of that store
They
to make
said
things
straight up
Yeah.
that they are going to release that entire mega city like for free with Unreal. So like anyone can have access to it, which is pretty interesting.
We can all make Matrix games.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to basically like pitch themselves as sort of like, hey, you don't need to be a rock star or like have a rock star level custom engine to make your own open world city, like you can do it in Unreal, and in fact we made the city for you, and you could just plop your game in there if you want, or like build off of it. I was watching like Digital Foundry kind of like talk more about the tech, and it sounds like they're trying to push it for like devs to get more into making those kinds of games without needing to spend Rockstar levels of money on it.
Yeah, that's going to end up being the big bottleneck, right? Is just like who has the time or the resources to generate a full game's worth of assets at that scale and quality and all that other stuff.
Oftentimes, those big studios also don't, and they farm it out to studios in other parts of the world where labor's cheaper. Yeah. So, the whole goal being like, how do you make more games look like that when straight up making cool art ends up being the hard part, and the answer seems to be Epic wants to make a bunch of cool art that you can then license and play around with, whether it's for free that comes with the engine or other developers contributing to a storefront and stuff like that. Like, we'll kind of see how it all goes, but that feels like a definite direction that game dev has been going in. Heard good things about this new Sonic game. Watch, take a trailer.
I think the trailer, that had that kind of like Shadow of the Colossus kind of vibe to it, like fighting a giant thing. And I think it also taps into similar stuff. The way people talk about Halo and the way people talk about Breath of the Wild, there's that element of just like the Sonic you had in your head for all these decades. Like,
I've never heard that one before.
Lush world thing. Like, I think that I wonder if they're trying to tap into something similar there.
You fight the Green Hill Zone as like one big monster. Like the Green Hill Zone turns into a Colossus, and you have to race around his body.
You have to fight. Yeah,
exactly.
I was asking, what did you think of
the
Oh, you mean the movie trailer? The movie trailer?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My kid shit himself. He was like, this is dope. I can't wait. He's very excited.
Yeah,
I did like the Jim Carrey bit. I was laughing quite a lot at that. It was very weird.
You know what?
Esoteric, but it was pretty funny.
The best part about that original movie.
I mean, now that I've seen that first Sonic movie 58 times, it grows on you. Let me tell you, like we could have been in such worse shape. Like we at this point we're pretty much playing with house money as it is with that. So they're gonna make 11 of them, I feel like, and it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. I like it. I like Sonic. I saw a trailer for Uncharted over the weekend, like a full cinematic one in a cinema, and really? I am so blown away at that being what it is. I don't know. Maybe is Uncharted as a movie just a boring idea, or like is it a casting thing?
Yes, it is.
Because like, even I looked at my wife. My wife was just like, "What is this? Is this a video game?" I'm like, "I know. I don't know what to tell you, dear."
Like you trace some weird lineage back on that thing where you're like, okay, Uncharted is kind of like, what if you made a Tomb Raider game with a dude in terms of like themes, and then you're like, where did that come from? You're like, oh, they're just making. So it's like this 2 layers removed sub Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah,
you're just looking at it and go like, who fucking cares about like some dumbass? I'm a treasure hunter. Like fuck you.
Then it's Indiana Jones Junior in the movie.
Yeah,
yes, but like Junior. I mean, I just that part freaks me out. I don't know. I'm not. Look, I will be the first to admit I love on the Uncharted video games. I like those video games a lot. Okay,
me too.
I do.
Yeah.
It's to the point where like you shouldn't even need to call it that. You could have not paid for the word Uncharted and done yourself. I mean, I guess it's Sony Pictures putting it out, but still, like it just seems like this kind of like placeholder thing. I don't know. I just feel it feels very uninspired.
The only reason the Uncharted IP works is because it's a video game.
Yeah,
I think when you start to compare it to films, like there's just such a rich history of that type of story.
Yeah.
You're just like, well, okay, well, why do I care about this? Oh, because I like the video games? Like, I guess that's a meaningful reason to do it. But then you get into it and you're like, also, this trailer looks like shit. Like, what are we doing?
This is like a homeopathic version of like Raiders of the Lost Ark at this point.
I mean, he's 25 years old. Like, I'm sorry, but at 25 years old,
but think about this.
You're not a
Sully,
worldwide treasure
but
hunter.
It's Mark Wahlberg. Just let that swim around your mouth a little bit.
Yeah, it swam and I spit it out. I just think like, yeah, you know what? If you told me like Mark Wahlberg is Nathan Drake, I'd been like, okay, yeah, all right, fine.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and then you make like, I don't know, insert salt and pepper beard man as Sully, and you're on your way.
I thought you were going to say put salt and pepper in this movie. I was going to say yes, okay, all right.
Well, now I'm watching the
Donnie
whole
Wahlberg
trailer
in there too. Donnie Wahlberg is Sully in.
I mean, and plus,
I'd rather salt and pepper than Marky Mark. So
nice. And then there's also the idea of like, I don't know, it's just funny to me that is a murder simulator in a lot of ways. And I just think it's like, all right, well, how are you going to tiptoe around that in this PG-13,
Holland has so much blood on his hands.
Even the game had to do that in the last game.
Exactly.
It was all it was about, right? It was
you think Tom Holland's going to kill somebody? You think he's actually going to kill one person in this movie? He can't kill anybody. You think he's going to
tie their fucking shoelaces together and they're going to trip and fall into a cake?
Exactly. This guy's not getting in trouble. He's going to detention.
Yeah, at the end of the day, those are cover shooters. Like, that's, it's cover shooters with a bunch of cinematic sequences that make it seem like much more than that. But, like, at the end of the day, it's a lot of hiding behind stuff and shooting people in the face.
It's great cutscenes. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave out some awards.
Recast? Who would you recast if it was still a young... And it's still
a young Nathan Drake.
I want John Bernthal as Nathan Drake. That's his name, right? That guy.
Yes, it is. The fucking Punisher dude. Yeah.
Yeah, the Walking Dead season 1 guy.
Yeah,
he's seen some shit. That guy's like, seen some interviews with that guy. He's had a life. He's got the grit. I want him in there.
Okay.
Ryan Cox is Sully.
Harrison Ford.
Think about it. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine Harrison Ford as live action Sully. He's too old now though. Like,
he's
old. He
upper 70s. I feel like
he can't do no stunts.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what if Tom Hanks was Sully?
Oh God.
Tom Hanks and one of his sons is Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Drake Summer.
Nathan Fillion aged out of being Nate Drake. He should have been cast as Sully.
Sully, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Idris Elba.
25.
Because they're not going to do Bond, probably.
He's 25?
I mean, he's Knuckles. He's already in the gaming space. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's here to stay.
How do you feel? How'd you feel when Knuckles opened up his mouth in that trailer and you're
Didn't
just
sound like Idris Elba. Did it?
I thought it did.
Yeah, I don't think it did. Yeah, I did at first. I was like, oh, right, that's Idris Elba. But
It's actually a good casting decision, I think. It sounds
totally
like Knuckles.
It's cool.
Yeah. They gave us some awards there with Game of the Year going to It Takes Two.
Somehow.
Is it come again?
It Takes
Two. The which also won Best Family Game.
No.
I have I don't know how I feel about that one.
A family.
Is it
play it with your kids?
Because there's themes of family in it. Like, what are we using to define a family game as at this point?
I would not.
I just wonder, did the judges, of which this publication was one of them, did a lot of the judges just see It Takes Two on the Best Family Game list and go, this is too funny I have to check this box. It's too fucking funny.
Ironically,
let's stretch that logic, and I don't want to do it because I've not played enough of this game. I don't want to say I'm naysaying or being shitty about it or whatever. But is there an element of like the whole Joseph Fares like being part of the canon of the Game Awards that like do you think could have had like a
I'm curious about that too.
Swayed for Game of the Year.
So how I think it happened. Well, I guess I don't know. Like, sure, that's an interesting one. I don't know. Like, that's. I think when I look at the nominees, I think it is a list of. Mostly a list of very good games, and I think it's a hard pick this year. So the nominees for that were It Takes Two, Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, and Resident Evil Village. Like going into this thing, I think looking at that, you go like, I could see any one of those winning, maybe except for It Takes Two. That might have been the one.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's the case of like, I'm just looking at it as like, well, It Takes Two is a much smaller game. And is that a bias there?
Did you vote for
Because
one?
people really liked It Takes Two. Like generally speaking, like that game is very highly regarded in terms of it being this
fun.
co-op only
it's a good game,
experience and all this stuff. Like, you know, I don't care for it because it's co-op only, and that's just not how I play a video game.
When you were voting for it, was it weighted, or were you just picking one?
No, it's not weighted.
Okay. But there's no like
when you
pick
do
your top
nominees,
three.
judging publications provide a list of up to 5 nominees per category. You must provide at least 3 for it to count. So if you played one VR game and you're like, that's great, and you'd write that in and only send that one in, it doesn't make its way through.
But for the winners,
for nominees, for winners,
Okay.
you just pick one.
Okay.
So nominees aren't weighted. None of it was weighted in any way. You didn't have to provide them in an order for nomination. And when it came to winners, you check one and send the email back.
Do you have any inside insight as to why everybody did Psychonauts 2 so dirty this year?
I suspect I do not because they don't reveal the results of the voting. They don't put out like what was second or anything like that. But my guess is that Psychonauts probably finished second in damn near every category it was in.
Yeah,
because it's another one of those games that like is pretty universally well liked. But I could see people very easily going like, oh, I really like this game, but
Yeah.
Deathloop has better
think-
game direction. I don't think I agree with that personally, but you know, I could see the case for like Guardians of the
thought
Galaxy is
the
another great
rudest was-
example of like people are losing their minds
art
about the
direction.
narrative of Guardians of the Galaxy now, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
But I could see
I thought it
Psychonauts 2
losing-
being high on that list.
Yeah, I thought it losing art direction was such a kick in the dick for me. It's like,
Oh, really?
why not? Oh my god! Like, yes,
It's
Deathloop
funny.
is very, very stylish, but I feel like when it comes to art direction, I feel like it gets a little more brownie points for me because the art direction is so intrinsically linked to the narrative that is currently happening around you. Like every single level is drastically a different art direction, but it always works. It always makes thematic sense. It's always a new gimmick that's fun and fully integrated with the art direction. Like I feel like, yeah, Deathloop is cool as hell looking. The architecture, the mid-century like modern stuff looks cool, but like so does like a thrift store that has cool furniture like that too. I don't know, like, but it's like,
Well, I think
Psychonauts
with
too.
Deathloop,
You can't
you're not just
find
looking
that
at like
stuff.
chairs, right? It's like, you know, it's
No.
they're putting the words in the environment, like those stylistic choices around how they're telling their story matter.
Yeah,
The menus matter, even though
Mm-hmm.
I think some of those menus could have like had a better user experience. But
Yeah, but I feel like
but-
Psychonauts
and those-
too
yeah.
just had a little bit better in every one of those categories,
It's tricky.
especially because it had so much more emotional
I think-
like
yeah.
connection to the art for me.
It is tricky. I think Psychonauts 2 had interest in the direction of like the variety of gameplay and that sort of stuff I feel like is perhaps being a bit overlooked. I understand where you're coming from with that. Man, I just can't get past the family game with It Takes Two. I think
Can I have a note on the Psychonauts
Have a
thing?
note, have a note.
Yeah, sorry. So I think
yeah, sure,
like
sure.
both of those art directors are like probably at the top of their game. Like Lisette Teacher Montgomery at Double Fine has been like playing trade over there for years and did a fantastic job on this one. And Sebastian Maton is like he's I feel like through Dishonored and even he helped a bit on Prey and stuff. And you know, he's also like just one of the best, and I think it's difficult for people to like make a decision on the art stuff, especially looking at it from a direction standpoint and not just an aesthetic that they appreciate. And I think this is where
Yeah.
Psychonauts falls into a problem in general, which is that when there's award shows for films, there's a prerequisite that you've watched them. When there's award shows for these, I don't believe there's a prerequisite that you have to have played all of these games to completion. And Psychonauts is going to be one of those games that a lot of people are not going to play. They're going to wait until next year. They're going to play a game like Deathloop because it's the hottest thing. A lot of the people who are on this panel are going to be people who are on online publications, streamers and YouTubers. So a lot of them are going to have played It Takes Two for reasons to do with their jobs. And Psychonauts is going to be one of those games that just is always going to be a little bit further back in terms of the amount of people who have like connected with it and played it in the same way that
Yeah.
like Outer Wilds kind of tends to be because of the nature of that game, or Inscription's a game we can't talk
Didn't
about.
that win GOTY last year? 2 years ago? When did that come out? Damn.
Yeah, 2019. I'm not sure if it did.
Might have.
Yeah,
But
I think I think
Forza is
people,
another
Yeah.
one of those, you know, where there was a lot of people that were very like up in arms when the nominations came out and Forza wasn't nominated for Game of the Year. And I think that's one of those things that like, and you know, you're right. It's not just online publications like this one, you know, or like a GameSpot or like that sort of thing that are organized that way. It is streamers and people from 103 different publications or outlets or whatever you want to call them. But I think it's one of those things like when I think about driving games classically, when I think about the GameSpot Game of the Year awards through the years that I was there, like people, you have to win the argument, right? You have to win the argument in the room about what game goes forward. And in a lot of cases, the game that most people played is going to have an easier time getting through there than a driving game that is typically a genre focused. Like you've got your driving game guy, you've got your RPG people, you've got those
Sports
people. Yeah, sports for sure. You've got your Brian Eckberg off to the side going like, no, listen, no, hey. And then everyone's like, I don't know. And then you've got Justin Calvert talking about
the driving game guy,
FIFA
so.
and no, not anymore. So yeah, it's. I think that games like that end up becoming a little easier to get shoved off to the side by virtue of even Forza Horizon, for as well as it did, for as good as it is, and for how many people did play it. I still think that driving games just have a tougher road to the top.
sure, I get it. Road, yeah.
Than the like prestige single player whatever, you know, than a God of War, than that sort of stuff. Because I also think that people tend to look at those games as, and incorrectly, I think a lot of the time, as like elevating the medium in some way, where they're like, look at this, you know, but it's at the end of the day, it's like the equivalent of like a fucking Netflix show that got 2 seasons and everyone talked about like, oh, it's so prestigious, this thing. And then no one talked about it ever again. You know, like it's
tough. A lot of it is also like a campaign, right? Of like, you know, just like award shows for film, like Danny, you were talking about before, like you have to campaign for it. You have to, spend money on, you know, making this be a thing that gets in front of people. I also don't, as much as you might want to believe that like people watch films and then vote on them and that being a prerequisite, I don't think that actually holds up.
But it is a much shorter, I mean, you know, the time commitment than games. But also in terms of getting in front of people, like I think that Forza is maybe a case where like they could have sent out more copies of it or something. But generally speaking, there's very little campaigning. Like I feel like I got like maybe 8 emails from publishers that are just like, hey, if you need codes for games, let me know. We would love for you to consider this game for these categories. And I, you know, glance it over and go, all right, well, I think we're good on codes for these games. Or I ask people like, hey, do you need a copy of this? And when we get some codes in, but it's not. It's not like there are pages in a magazine that say for your consideration. It's not like you're driving down Sunset Boulevard. It says for your consideration, Gears 5. You know, there's nothing.
Pick up
that
variety.
doesn't exist. Yeah,
and it's just fucking. It Takes Two on it.
Right.
Also, like
I think
like. Crosstalk.
I was gonna say that. Hold on, I want to hear what you have to say, Jess. I was just gonna say, just to finish the point, is that I think for all of these reasons that we're discovering, they should disclose they should weight it, and they should disclose like where all these things, you know, line up and how they all fall. Because I suspect your suspicions are pretty accurate, right? With like Psychonauts probably finishing a real close second in a lot of these things. That would mean something. Like that would still mean something. They do that in like the superlatives for like, you know, Hall of Fame votes for sports leagues and stuff like that. And when you find out where like, oh, you know, this person was like, had like 11 first place votes. Like, I don't know, to me, that provides more context. It seems more transparent. And I just think the pros outweigh the cons if you disclose all that sort of stuff, if it was weighted in a certain way. So I think that should be considered. Jess, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, you know, similarly to what was mentioned earlier, like with like Forza and all that stuff, I also feel like there's like a niche aspect, like it's considered niche, and it's not like, in addition to be not seen as elevating the craft and stuff like that, I feel like horror stuff is also not seen as elevating the craft. I was like actually a little surprised. Like I knew that Resident Evil would not win GOTY just because it's not typically, that genre doesn't tend to win GOTY stuff. But I was also really surprised that I forget her name, Maggie something, Lady Dimitrescu won for best performance, and I think it's because like they had the internet accidental memery campaign of how goddamn hot Lady D was, and I think that just put that basically functioned as a for your consideration that went on for months and months and months and months. Everybody saw at least one chunk of her performance because of that, and really saw it often enough that it stuck out. And I think if Lady D didn't have that mimetic air to her, mimetic, oh, maybe it's the right word,
I like it,
memeness to her, I don't
Memosity.
think I don't think maybe she wouldn't have won.
So do you think people who didn't play Village maybe did vote for her because they had that connection at least?
See, I feel like I remember at the time, and I did not play Resident Evil Village, so feel free to correct me, but like I remember at the time as people played that game that the reports were coming back going like, she's not nearly as interesting in the game as she was in all the shit on the internet around the game.
Yeah, I think the outside the game presence was bigger than, she was also front loaded. All right, the game, she's super front loaded up in that game, and yes, I think the parts outweighed the sum, the sum of those parts, right? Like the presence and the aura that sort of like transformed outside of that, right? And her presence transcended outside of that game, and it became something bigger than what that little sort of portion was inside that game.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, that's what happened. But that makes it important, right? Like that makes it notable and I guess award worthy in that sense.
Yeah,
sure.
Like,
I think
I thought plenty
like
of other people in that game were absolutely incredible. I thought Heisenberg was absolutely incredible in that too. And I was shocked that Heisenberg, I don't think he was nominated either, and he was
where's the Duke?
Fabulous.
And then they put
just like no offense to anyone, right? Just let's just kick them all out and put like the whole cast of Village on.
They were all so good. They were also
nominate the ensemble.
yeah.
Lady D was like the runaway meme of that game for obvious reasons. Vampire mommy. But I think like that just like put her so in the forefront of everybody's minds voting wise that like that's the thing that made her win, I think. And I think if she wasn't a meme, so it would have gone to somebody else, unfortunately. Even though that
performance is really good.
But I feel like we're doing a little bit of chicken or the egg sort of thing where it's like, yes, she became a meme, but a meme worthy thing doesn't always mean that it is somehow like inferior, right? Like it's a
positive. Was the performance good? Like at the end of the day, was it?
I'm not saying she shouldn't have won or anything like that. But in the minds of the voting public, that's.
I think
also the thing they
recognize. Example would be like Giancarlo Esposito being nominated because I think he was awful in that game.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't play that whole game, but I'm with you that like that did not seem like a good performance. But it was like that's a name, right? So it's easy to and they used to split this category out to like best performance male, best performance female. And I think it's the right move to move it all into one thing.
Best meme,
Best meme,
Well, best performance non-binary.
There might be a best ensemble cast would be nice to have. Like,
we've done best cast before, depending on like what the flow of games look like from year to year. We've definitely like we've done a best cast, like the Game Awards I don't believe have, but yeah, I think that's usually like a more interesting thing than plucking out an individual performance. Which,
that's a funner conversation, isn't this? Just talk about
I think so.
Because there's tops and it's.
Well, I always felt like
so
these.
Good, man.
I always felt like these categories in particular, and they've gotten away from this because I think there's just like much more credible performances in video games these days. But I feel like if you trace this back to like the Spike TV days and look at the nominees. A lot of it was like, can we get another famous person on this show?
The worst one I remember was it was like
You're very low, Jean-Luc, by the
I'm
way.
very low? Oh, I
Yeah.
could lower myself,
Yeah.
raise
You're
myself.
lower than us, at least.
Hold on, let me do that.
It was like,
also-
how many ways can we slice Jack Black? How many cuts of
I think
it?
the worst one was one year they nominated, and I think she won. It was like Emma Stone in Sleeping Dogs, and she was in that game for literally
For like nothing. Yeah.
like
She was
2
in
minutes. Yes, she was just like a character that you could go on a date for like one mission, and they were like, Emma Stone,
That's awesome.
best actress of
That's
the year,
funny.
and it was like, are you fucking
Best
kidding
performance,
me?
John Madden.
Yeah. He wins again.
I was really surprised that was there like a best original song was a category this year, right?
No, they just have best best soundtrack and score, just
Best
soundtrack or
soundtrack.
score. Yeah, and
okay.
Nier
I was
took that,
which is good in my opinion. I love.
it's a
that music,
decade-old
so.
soundtrack. Like
It is
yes,
though.
it
That's,
is.
so it's not
yeah.
really fair, is it?
They redid it, and they did add some new stuff.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know. I get your point, but I also
It speaks
it's
more
very
to it, and I don't think this invalidates it at all. But I think that speaks more to the changing tastes of the gaming public over the last decade. That
wonder.
now that the Western world is ready for a Nier game in a way that they certainly
Right.
were not when Replicant first came out.
Well, I was
and
surprised
that's
talking
cool.
about how can we get more celebs involved and stuff like that. I was surprised that because isn't Japanese breakfast like a celeb of some sort?
Yeah.
Like how come Sable's soundtrack not?
Yeah.
Well, I
and
don't think
also
that-
Jack
I
Black
don't think they-
in Psychonauts 2 had a whole
Yeah.
song for him, and he was not in there. And it's like, hey, but that's a
Right.
celebrity,
Yeah.
right?
I think that points to like these awards are more credible now than they were then.
Yeah.
You know, like
Agreed.
they,
Well, the
they
Sable-
are not putting a thumb on the scale to say let's get famous people on the show, because this isn't Spike TV putting a thing on television. This is Keeley doing it. And I think if that were the case, I think that would get out and really invalidate the awards in a major way. So, so I think that's if you trace the path back through the Spike days were dark days in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
It's a better show now.
The Schlick Hydrobot has been replaced by Pot Friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another unrealistic beauty standard, by the way. So it's a lateral move.
Yeah. Well,
That's great.
what are you going to do? Why don't we move on to some of the rest of the news? Sony is now selling their own PlayStation 5 plates.
That'll
Didn't
fix
see
it.
this coming.
Yeah.
Like
if you
collectible
want to,
China? What?
no, it's face plates for the Playstation 5, not face plates, but the top and
okay.
bottom plates
I
for
was
the
like,
PS5.
finally, I can invite people over
Yeah.
for dinner.
Who do you want on your
Fine,
PlayStation plate? Who's it like Sully? Just gonna
Jack
Just a
Tretton.
bunch of
Get Knack in
Bloodborne
there.
plate. I'd buy
Yeah.
it. I'd buy it.
Yeah.
Max like a plate that like shatters into a million other plates.
Come back together very easily. Yeah, they're all magnetic.
Oh, no.
together.
I gotta say,
Not
these
dishwasher safe. Gotta say.
No,
these am I wrong? These are only colored plastic, and there's no other thing about them aside from the fact that they are just that.
Yes, it is.
There's
They are
no-
replacement.
there's
They are
nothing-
replacement shells for your PS5 in a multitude of colors. They are currently selling a black. They will sell pink, purple, and blue later next year. They will also have controllers that match those colors. Some of those are already out, and some are yet to come.
Those are not the cutest pink, purple, and blue I've ever seen. I like the blue actually. The pink, purple, and red are. I'm not.
oversaturated maybe.
Yeah, it's a little too
could do-
hot pink. Could be a little.
Yeah,
They
it's
could've
very
done more.
saturated.
Yeah, it's pastel-y a little bit. I feel like I would have liked something.
It looks like
Well, I
a
don't know.
child's toy, sort of. Like it's not like a
I guess-
classy, adulty sort
It's like
of.
an iPad cover or something, isn't it? It's like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
$55.
Yeah.
$55 for curved plastic.
Just spray paint the bitch. Who cares? I don't know.
Covered in
Yeah,
stickers.
I don't know. So I bought a set of these. In a bit of just like, yeah, I'll get a set of black plates for a PlayStation 5. Why not?
Yeah, they look awesome. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're wonderful. This is a great decision that you made.
No, it's not a good. No, it's not. Don't.
What do you do with your old one? It's just going to be like this weird,
Yeah.
like the skin
Put
of
it
a
next to
fucking
my
snake or something, just like
next to the Xbox 360 faceplate I took off in
Hell
favor
yeah.
of the Adidas one that I got on my Japanese Xbox.
Well,
That's
you are
pretty
a big Corn
cool.
fan. So.
So
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
that makes sense.
yeah. What else? So the other bit to this is that Sony went out and sued a company called dbrand that was trying to make these on their own a while back, and dbrand came back with a set of redesigned plates because I guess Sony had gotten a design patent to prevent them from just cloning the plates. So they have a set of plates that they're selling now that have like an extra vent on them and like colored lighting, like basically they're kind of the lighting that's already on the PS5. You can customize that as well. And those are, hang on a sec here.
I'm looking at one now.
Those
they're
are $59, but you would get a lot more options in terms of what sort of coloring you want, and there's it comes with like stickers for the front piece, or if you want to customize that as well. But
if you try and buy one of these on their website, it brings you to like disc edition and digital edition, 3 colors, limited stock, not illegal.
Yeah, so when they put these out, that was their big thing. Like they were like, checkmate lawyers, these ones are not illegal because Sony got in the way of the ones they were originally making. That's why these are Dark Plates 2.0.
Yeah.
And now they're really leaning into the community aspect of just like part of the scroll here says like fund our legal defense. Like they are clearly having some fun.
Avoiding lawsuit. Thanks, Sony. Do you have any idea how many lawyers we had to go through to find some that were willing to take on the Dark Plates case? We'll give you a hint. The answer lies at the bottom of Lake Ontario. Turns out our new lawyers can handle either the murder charges or the Dark Plates file, but not both.
I mean, the cool kind of thing about this is that they changed the shape of the PlayStation.
It like looks different, right?
Kind of, I'm gonna say, a little more pleasing to the eye.
It kind of looks like if they did a new PlayStation 5.
Like a slim PS5,
it just makes you realize like, oh, they didn't need that extra 2.5 inches on top to make this, like that is just meaningless plastic. Anyway, I thought people
and they put vents in it, and they're claiming the dbrand people claim that will result in better thermals. I don't have a way to test that, so I don't know, but that is what they are saying.
Take their word for that.
Yeah, those are like pre-order for a February ship date on those. So it's it's interesting to see. I guess it makes sense that Sony would see this need out there. I mean, how about this? Good on them for not just selling new PS5s in different colorways and getting the double dipping weirdos to go like, well, I guess I gotta go get another PS5 because I want a black one because I'm broken inside.
Could they though? Because like right now they can't even produce enough for people who want them. So
they have to do this.
Yeah, maybe that makes maybe that's the actual solution there. But I could see, I don't know, like purple light strips, black dark plates. That's a neat look.
The light strips is not a bad idea if you really.
Oh, when you upgrade to the light strips, that makes it up. That gets you up to about $70 for these things.
Nice. Oh, Bacalar, do you like light strips? I wouldn't have known.
Light strips. Nah, what do you mean? What gave you that impression? What are you talking about?
Sorry, podcast listeners.
Yeah, well. What else is going on? Halo Infinite playlist update hits today. This is the stopgap. Oh God, stop trying to blow up our building update that brings 4 new playlists. Slayer, which is Team Deathmatch. Fiesta, which is Team Deathmatch. Which is Fiesta. Free for All, which is just Deathmatch. I don't like that. Hey, I don't like that we got into calling it free for all instead of just deathmatch and team deathmatch.
We can't put death. We don't want death in the name. It's implied.
But that implies a different kind of game, right? Isn't deathmatch? Wait, is free for all every person for themselves, or is it team?
It's free for all. Team deathmatch is team deathmatch. Deathmatch is deathmatch.
Okay. I thought we were conflating those two.
In past games, it was Slayer and Team Slayer. I could be wrong, so it's weird that they switched it to.
I feel like you're right on that front as well.
Team Slayer.
And also Tactical Slayer, which is what they are calling SWAT now.
It's probably
I don't know if Daryl Gates and the SWAT people got angry. Yes, probably for the best in terms of just like, let's take the cop thing out. But
speaking of lawsuits, did Slayer never have a problem with this? I mean, it's
I
not in the
imagine
right
it's
domain.
a different enough use, right?
Yeah.
It's probably
The
yeah.
No, the
Slayer's
fucking brand
cool.
of cheese.
Did Satan
Slayer
have a
cheese
problem
is
with this?
amazing, Danny. I'm sorry, say that again, Jeff. What did you say? Did who?
Did Satan have a problem with this? You know, like,
I don't know. Ask Bingo. He'll know.
yeah. Bingo, what do you think?
Got a direct line to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I think like there's certain things like you can't you like not. Man, I don't want to get the whole fucking copyright hellhole rabbit hole, but like,
Let's do it.
can't you like also call anything Metallica? Like, can't you also get away with certain things? I think there's something funky.
Maybe metal bands are just too cool for this lawyer shit.
If there was one band that was going to go after people, it would be Metallica.
Yes.
No, yeah.
They got tired after the Napster thing and decided not
They're
to.
too
Yeah, but
busy
Slayer,
with their.
Slayer seems all right. Slayer's like,
Slayer's a word. Metallica isn't a word. So
yeah,
that's
Yeah, true,
So
true,
that's
true.
the thing. Like Slayer is the like less opportunity for confusion in the marketplace, whereas Metallica is just Metallica. That's probably the actual answer to that.
yeah.
I don't. This is maybe me mapping my own feelings on Metallica onto the Metallica concert I watched recently as they played. They played a live show set against people boxing in a 3-sided ring. It was people
Okay.
boxing in a triangular shaped ring, and then also Metallica played. And then the guy who ran it came out midway through to call Dana White a bitch or something. And it was just like, it's a weird night.
Some sort of cult, dark
Is this
sort
a
of
dream you had? Are
Fat
you sure
Joe
this-
was there with facial hair that looked like it had been drawn on with a light marking pen, as he so
think
often
it
looks
was a
these
dream.
days. Anyway, Lars kept standing up, which to me is the sign of a drummer that doesn't know his fucking place. Sit the fuck down.
how's he standing?
He's like standing up and still playing the drums and kind of like motioning to the crowd like, hey, I'm the other guy whose name you know in Metallica. And to that I say, fuck him. Let's see.
Never got them down to the Giant Bomb studio when you were in Marin.
Metallica, no, sadly, when this no less Claypool, no Metallica, we didn't really lean on any of the local favorites to come through. There's been some additional rumblings about a potential new Splinter Cell game.
Oh, don't get
Oh,
me all
this
up.
one again.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you remember,
It's gonna have
there was
fucking NFTs in it and towers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, It's gonna-
NFTs and
you're going to own that noise. You're going to own a token that points to the noise. Let's see here. According to Jeff Grubb, I don't know who that is.
That
Jeff. Never heard Jeff. It's weird.
I
name.
don't know.
Jeffs?
It's a bad name.
Jeff.
They were Ubisoft was
Jess.
tested out a couple of games around the E3 timeframe. One of which seemed to be the new Prince of Persia, and then one was a prototype that seemed like it could have been a new Splinter Cell game. According to Video Games Chronicle, Ubisoft has updated its Splinter Cell trademark with a very minor change. That's the full story. I just, in the long saga of will they or won't they make a Splinter Cell game, this seems like another sign in the direction of them inching closer to maybe doing it. And the story is that game is in production
sneaking
now.
closer.
So yeah,
Yeah.
under cover of darkness.
With little green goggles.
Yeah.
That's all I know about Splinter Cell right
That's it.
there.
That's all there is to
things I
know.
just said, yeah.
You can hang
it.
upside down from pipes. That's,
Yeah, I seem that
Yeah.
the talk seemed to be that maybe this game was taking a cue or two from the recent Hitman games, which
Right.
is potentially interesting.
but it would be interesting to see how they tackle it, because Ubisoft are in a place now where they make a lot of games, but they all tend to be kind of sandboxy in some way or another. And like Splinter
Yeah.
Cell wasn't that. They were linear
No.
levels, enclosed levels. So like, how do they? I don't think you can transpose Sam Fisher into like a big open Project
They
IGI
did.
almost kind of thing.
Right, yeah, but they did do like Sam Fisher out in the open amongst civilians in crowds and stuff like that. In I want to say whatever that last one was, or the one before
Agent?
that.
Was that it?
No, what was it? I cannot remember, but it was
Blacklist.
like a decade,
Blacklist was
so-
the last one. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Blacklist. Yeah, it was either Blacklist or the one before that. Which one was the one where they were on the plane that never landed?
Conviction.
Oh, right.
The
That was like their
Langoliers.
headquarters. Yeah.
Yeah, that one might have been the one I'm thinking of, but Anyway, so there have been times where they've tried to put a Sam Fisher into a situation where there are, like it's a little more civilian-y, a little more kind of stealth oriented, in or plainclothes stealth, I guess I should say.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
But,
yeah. So that'd be neat.
Yeah, that'd be a direction to go in that would probably satisfy Ubisoft's need to be able to bolt on content to a game for 2 years or more.
Is Michael Ironside still around?
Yes, but he did not voice him in the most recent game, right?
Oh, you're right.
He didn't, but they did bring him back for that Recon DLC thing.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta have Michael Ironside. It's just not the same.
Has he been? I need to do a check because I had to do two checks we make now, which is like, has he said something fascist or racist, and is he alive? So it's like
check.
Yes.
The 2021 celebrity check-in.
Yeah, it used to be Phone Keys Wallet, and now it's that.
Like, are you alive? And are you pocket fascist? We didn't know that.
Yes. I feel like the last time I heard his voice, it comes for us all, but like he was sounding even more gravelly in a way that I don't know. I'm not sure that he's the right guy for Sam Fisher. If you were to reboot that game with a younger man, I think the tale of aging Sam Fisher is a very interesting one that I think they've tried to do, but they maybe have already tried to do it. Anyway, they should make a new Splinter Cell game, and let's see how it comes out. Hey, remember Dr. Dre? Or did you forget? Did you forget about this guy?
Oh yeah, when this news landed this week, I was like, I wish I could see the expression on your face.
So this is Snoop Dogg, often partners with Dr. Dre. Leaked a thing a while ago where he said something along the lines of Dr. Dre's got a bunch of new music. It's going to be in the next Grand Theft Auto. Weed, I think, is what the quote was. There's the way they're leaning into weed adjacent advertising now, and that is, I assume that it's because it's legal here or just because attitudes have changed or whatever. But I was at a gas station the other day and they were selling lighters, and it was Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg on the back of the little lighter dispenser, and it was Martha Stewart saying "great for candles," and then next to Snoop Dogg said "or lots of other things," or some kind of thing like that, like the wink and nod.
Who needs to explain to anyone what a lighter is for? I don't know. That is the more perplexing
They're just trying to differentiate
this.
themselves from the billions of bad lighters out there, right?
Yeah.
There's like, this one's got Snoop Dogg. You like him. Martha Stewart. Everybody loves Martha Stewart. By having both of them on here, we're going to hit some cross section of demographics that you're going to go I know who that is.
Yeah, it's already a show. The two of them are like TV.
Yeah, together. Yes, they've leaned into that whole thing extremely well. Anyway, Snoop Dogg said the Dr. Dre music was going to be in the next Grand Theft Auto, which got everybody thinking about GTA 6. And I think at the time we were like, this could just as easily be a GTA Online thing. Guess what?
Ding, 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 ding.
That was not hard.
Yeah. It's out now, and an expansion of GTA Online called The Contract that brings back Franklin and Lamar from GTA 5. And you are running a celebrity solutions agency, a service that caters to Vinewood's rich and powerful. This is according to the Polygon rewrite of the press release. And that alongside DJ Pooh, who is a real person, I will say.
Pooh Bear.
You will work to hook up with Dre and then also, I guess, help him recover some unreleased music that a hacker has stolen or something. And as a result, I assume you get to hear some of that music. They've also refreshed a lot of the radio stations. The Throwback Hip Hop station is now running a special Dre Day playlist to coincide with this. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably the first thing I've seen since the launch of GTA Online that has made me think, should I fucking reinstall fucking GTA? Because that Franklin and Lamar are good characters.
Yeah.
If that is handled well, then that sounds like it could be interesting. Dr. Dre appeared, I guess, in one of the heists as a kind of a surprise character, like last year or earlier this year or something.
Oh, right.
So there was kind of a
bit of
lineage there.
We talk about him in Quake 3 almost every week. He's no stranger to the video games.
Exactly.
He's in the metaverse.
Yes, he's been in the metaverse since before there was a metaverse, I guess. I don't know. Activision, Blizzard. You heard of these guys? Bad.
Yeah, sadly.
Bad over there.
I heard they were. I heard they were good. I better do my check. Sorry, it's been. I haven't checked in.
Oh yeah. Could you do
Bobby
your?
Kotick. Is Bobby Kotick still alive? Is he?
Let's check.
It's all about
Oh, the guy from Moneyball.
Yeah, Mr. Yes.
Yeah.
Robert Moneyball.
Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, I'll
this
never
is a
forgive
long
him for not
list.
giving Billy Bean that money. Fucking
Yeah.
asshole.
I know, right? Oh, let's see here. So, they are not quite unionized, but they have started a strike fund over at the ABK Workers Alliance. And they have started a GoFundMe to build a strike fund on account of management telling them that walkouts would no longer be covered. They'd no longer be paid for those walkouts. The other story here is that, let's see here, from according to the Washington Post, the chief administrative officer, Brian Bulatow, I think I'm saying that right, sent a company-wide email in response to the idea of a union authorization card that had been making the rounds, kind of saying like, hey, you don't need to get a union involved. That's going to limit your ability to work with us to make a better company. We're a family.
And that
Which
just
I
had
feel
a
like is-
Streisand effect of other people being like, oh, I didn't know that was going around. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's just full on like union busting tactic. Like step 3 is like send a company-wide email to try to spook people out of signing their union cards.
Yeah.
So here's a quote from this, according to the Washington Post. Achieving our workplace culture aspirations will best occur through active, transparent dialogue between leaders and employees that we can act upon quickly. That is the better path than simply signing an electronic form offered to you by the CWA or awaiting the outcome of a legally mandated and regulated bargaining process sometime in the future. Yeah, so... You know, it's a pretty standard anti-union message out of Activision, which, you know, of course, they're going to pull out all the stops on this stuff and try to stop workers from organizing, while also saying, of course, you have a right to organize, and try to make it as hard as possible.
But don't
ruin the good times we're having.
No, don't do it. Oh,
Yeah.
you're hurting our feelings if you do that.
Yeah, and I think the general feeling, or at least the quotes here, are from Jessica Gonzalez, who's a senior test analyst at Blizzard, who has resigned from the company recently. Is basically saying that, you know, the company is continuing to ignore them anyway. So like the idea of not signing the card and hoping that the company had its shot to fix it and they have not.
Yeah.
And so the next step seems to be to unionize. It would be hilarious if the thing that finally got the video game developers out there to unionize was Bobby Kotick and the Activision leadership of all companies. But I guess it would make perfect sense that it would take someone like them to make this occur.
Mm-hmm. Good luck to them.
Yeah. Do you mean Bobby and them?
Yeah.
Okay. The other. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yes. Good luck to. Yeah, no. Good luck to the ABK Workers Alliance, of course, on that front. Similarly, did you see this?
$317,000 looks like of their million goal, which, just Oakland A's could really have used that money back in the late 90s. I'm just saying.
And how?
Yeah, no, that's you could have stopped. Could you have stopped Nick Swisher from going to the Yankees or something? Like what could we have done with that money? Absolutely, yeah. No, wish them the best on their way to that goal for sure. And that's yes, the Oakland A's.
Sorry, and also the ABK strike fund.
Yes,
strike
on their way to win the division.
Both of them.
Yes.
Important. Striking is critical to success in many ways.
There you go.
That's a good
There's
point.
There's the
That's a
through
good
line.
point. I just want people who work on video games to stop getting fucked over by people who own companies dedicated to making video games. I feel like that shouldn't be an insane ask, but here we are.
Unionize.
Here we are in a capitalism. That's gonna do it for news. Why don't we take another break and we'll go through a handful of emails here before we call it a day.
Cool.
What do you say? All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, how good are you at keeping track of your bills? You know, you look and see when you got this recurring stuff. I've got a satellite radio bill that bills annually, and I never remember to cancel it. I remember to cancel it the day after it's charged, and then I'm like, I don't need to call, and so I don't, and then it rolls over again, and then whoops, I've did it again. If you're like me and you've had trouble remembering to cancel some of your recurring charges, maybe Truebill can help. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or just forgot about. On average, people can save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Some companies make subscriptions hard to cancel. We tried to build ours in a way that was fair and notified you ahead of time so you'd have time to cancel if that's what you wanted to do and all this other stuff. But some companies out there are like, shh, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. We're just going to charge again. Truebill makes it incredibly simple to know about those recurring charges and cancel them. You can just link your accounts up and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions, so you don't have to. That seems kind of awesome. That's, a lot of people out there, leave these lingering subscriptions around. There's a thing that we used to use for YouTube tagging that bills annually for hundreds of dollars, and that just charged again, and maybe I should have been using Truebill. Truebill has over 2 million users and has helped save them over $100 million, like Matthew B., who says, here's my Matthew B. voice. In a matter of seconds, I saved $660 for the year on my DirecTV bill, saved $120 for the year on my SiriusXM bill, saved $840 a year on my car insurance. Thank you, Matthew B. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/bomb. Go right now. Truebill.com/bomb. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/bomb. All right, we're back, and now it's time to get into a few emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address, and you should send us some emails for me to look at and go, huh, and then I will pull a handful of them and read them as I'm about to do right about now.
Oh,
here we go.
Let's see here. We talked last week, in the kind of a lot of the discussion around Halo has been around the idea of Game Pass and the game being sold on Steam for $60, whereas like you could just sign up for Game Pass. A couple of people wrote in to try to give use cases for why they would buy the game on Steam and not do Game Pass. This one seems like one was around it being like extremely buggy and that sort of stuff, which I know some people have had trouble with the Xbox app and some of the other stuff in Windows, but I still feel like that's a contact customer support problem and not just go spend whatever. People want to play games and play them when they're new. I get it. But anyway, this one from Sam in Fort Smith says, you talked on a recent Bombcast about what kind of weirdos might buy Halo Infinite on Steam instead of Game Pass, and I just want to throw out the same kind of weirdos who play games on Linux.
Whoa.
Halo Infinite doesn't work on Proton yet, but it seems likely that it'll be made to work long before we get a functional Linux Game Pass client. So Linux
super serious freaks here is what we're talking about.
Playing on that Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Yes, and as he says, like, so far Linux has been 1% and growing for 5 months on the Steam hardware survey. It'll be interesting to see if the Steam Deck helps to grow our numbers. Oh, Sam, you're not wrong, but
Speaking of Steam Deck, anyone order an Analog Pocket this morning?
I did.
Today?
No.
45 minutes late, so I don't know what block I'm in, but I get the feeling I'm not going to see that thing for a year.
2026.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I know they sent some out for people for review and stuff like that. I don't know, like their whole, like I'm curious to see what they do with third-party core development in terms of like, you know, what can it do other than the stuff they're selling it for? Because the idea of having a collection of Game Boy cartridges seems like the worst. Like I don't want it. I'm not going to do that.
Could always get an EverDrive.
Well, yeah. So the other thing is they typically, and by they I mean some mysterious benefactor releases jailbreak firmware for most of their devices at or around the launch of said devices that lets you kind of run things off an SD card and stuff like that too. So, but I don't know. I was reading a story last night from the author of MGBA, which is one of the leading Game Boy Advance emulators out there, about how they were contacted to maybe produce a royalty-free firmware or BIOS replacement, boot ROM replacement for the GBA for the Analog Pocket, and how the business dealings there went and how that didn't sound especially great. And there's just a lot of stuff swirling around Analog that makes you not necessarily feel great rooting for them sometimes.
Okay.
And you know, I compare that to the open source Mr. project, which I will grant you is not a handheld, but that's not necessarily what I'm personally looking for anyway. And it already does all that stuff. Plus, now the guy working on the PlayStation 1 core is releasing nightlies of that, and every day it plays more games. It doesn't do audio yet and all this other stuff, but like, you can run Castlevania Symphony of the Night, you can play Ridge Racer, you can play Tekken 1 and 2, Street Fighter EX, like a lot of more and more PlayStation games are starting to run that thing, and it's like super impressive. So I'm excited about the future of that thing, and I'm probably more likely to buy a second Mr. than I would to buy an Analog Pocket.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just the appeal of being able to play those games on a handheld again. Because I didn't actually own consoles for the longest time. Most of my gaming was either PC or Game Boy, so I have a lot of like nostalgia for that. And I was watching videos, kind of breaking down like the screen and how faithfully they were able to kind of recreate the specific kind of like feel of or look of those screens, kind of like capturing the way they move and the refresh rate, and that to me is like super appealing, that you can kind of get like a very authentic experience without necessarily having to go like that's more interesting to me than like getting those like ISP screens and modding a Game Boy, because those screens apparently have all sorts of like weird ghosting issues and refresh issues.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, I didn't know much about the weird stuff around Analog, but I know like the dude who's kind of like the guy who's been in charge of making all this stuff. Kevin Horton is like a super smart guy, and
absolutely,
I think that dude is like hella talented. So like, I'm almost like I kind of want to support him more than like Analog the company, I guess, in a way, but. That's interesting.
No, I get it. It's the marketing arm of that thing they say some stuff often. You're just like, I don't know.
I've got a huge kink for just pre-ordering handhelds. You know,
they never come out, and
Playdate and Steam Deck. Fucking line them up, man. The day they arrive, I'm just gonna be so sad.
Yeah, because you have nothing else to look forward to, or what?
Yeah, it's the waiting is the best part, you know.
Yeah,
it is.
That's what gets me, you know.
That's the human sickness.
Mm-hmm.
That is where
the plastic
at.
off, and
I think
keep it in the box. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it.
Exactly.
The Analog Pocket seems really cool, but there's just like for me, it was like the Game Boy family is not like where my interest lies. Like I want to, like some of the other stuff they're going to support, and you have to get cartridge adapters and all that other stuff. Like that seemed like one too many hoops right there. But like the user accessible FPGA stuff, like I want to see where that goes, because it does seem possible, if not likely, that someone, even if it's Analog themselves, could port a lot of but probably not all of the Mr. cores to that framework. and maybe get some of that stuff running. So, there's a potential for more arcade games and stuff to run on that thing down the line. And so like that aspect of it has me interested to kind of see where it gets to. But looking at and I'm not an FPGA expert, God damn it, not at all. But looking at the power of the relative units between the Mister and the Analog Pocket, the Pocket seems like slightly less capable. So like it might not be able to do SNES, I think it was what the line was. So there were aspects like that I was just like, all right, well, if it can't take all of this stuff on, then that's less interesting to me. And just a lot of little things like that started to add up. Yeah, they make nice looking gear for sure. Like that thing, the actual physical hardware looks pretty rad. Jason from Florida writes in says, "Yeah, Florida, brace yourself." Back when Frog Fractions came out, its novelty of clever misdirects and gameplay changes really took the crew by storm. I'd say that took the world by storm.
Yes,
personally, but
maybe not enough of the world if you ask Jim.
Sure, yeah, yes. When Glittermitten Grove kept, hey, that guy's a topic lord. He's doing fine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's wherever fine podcasts are distributed. Go get yourself some topic lords. When Glittermitten Grove came out, and it seemed to get a little bit more of a lukewarm reception. And as of writing this email, it doesn't really seem like anyone has fully completed Inscription, which is in the same vein. As the novelty of a Frog Fractions, Jason's asking about us specifically, but I think that's a weird. I don't know that that's necessarily. I think just the reception is more of a general thing. Has the novelty of a Frog Fractions type of surprise worn off, or have newer games just been a little too involved before they get to the interesting, wacky stuff?
It's like a moving target, right? Like that type of thing is
it's a
very
tough
much based on
question.
what people aren't expecting in that moment. So it's hard to...
Yeah, and comedy as well is a hard target to hit as well. Inscription, I feel like it is not necessary, and this is coming from someone who's not necessarily played Inscription, but like all of the talk around Inscription is like it does a thing. It wasn't like Glittermitten Grove where it was hidden inside some other game waiting to be found.
Yeah.
I mean, the third act does get into some weird, like accessing your computer file stuff.
Well,
I won't say anything more than that, but it does some cool stuff that reminded me a lot of that game.
The developer David Mullins Games has like done this sort of stuff for all of his games. Like Pony Island was a similar kind of like bait and switch playing with genres and stuff like that. And so was the Hex, which also I feel like not a lot of people talk about, but the Hex was pretty neat too. And I still haven't finished playing Inscription, but that's because I was a fool and streamed it, and I want to complete it on stream and have VODs about it and stuff like that. And I've not had a lot of time to stream, so that is my own fault for being a fool and deciding I'm going to stream this instead of just play it on my own.
Yeah,
which is why I played Outer Wilds on my own time.
Nice, yeah, smart. That's why I think the difference also is I feel like even Pony Island, it sort of marketed itself as it's got some stuff going on, right? Like it wasn't necessarily like, here's a fun game about ponies. Like, even if it said that, there was way more of a wink and nod to it than Frog Fractions had. And then Glittermitten Grove was the extreme end of that.
And the extreme end of that is the next one, which is like, again, it's hard to even talk about it. But like, he's basically released the third one, but did it in the most like side-loaded, fucked up way. You know what I mean? With the DLC
part of
thing.
Frog
With the DLC,
Fractions I feel like Frog Fractions is different than Inscription because of that, though. Like, they definitely have a lot of fun playing with genre expectations. Like, that's what they have in common, but I feel like their presentation is very different because Frog Fractions and Glittermitten Grove is so secretive about it. It's like an ARG almost. Like, you have to figure out, is this Frog Fractions or will this be Frog Fractions 2 and all that stuff. I didn't finish Glittermitten Grove, though. I don't know why I fell off of it, honestly. I don't really remember the circumstances.
One of the things I think about that whole, genre flipping thing that happens is that sometimes you run into a genre which people just don't like playing. And I think one of the issues with the hub world of Glittermitten was that, like, unless you'd kind of grown up playing adventure and those types of things, it's a lot of obscure.
Yeah.
A lot of ZZT in there.
Yeah.
A lot.
And I don't want to, without spoiling things, but some of the other games we've talked about today have also sort of like drifted into that, where it's a bit of a, like, if you're selling the game based on trailers, when you sort of go away from that maybe, or change things up a bit, sometimes you have a situation where somebody is playing a game that they sort of maybe wouldn't have bought or wouldn't have picked up or weren't expecting. So it's just dangerous, right? Like, commercially, the whole thing is super dangerous too.
Super, yeah. Like, and it's a lot of work to put into something that if you're going to bait and switch somebody, it might make them mad and give you a bad review and be like, this is not actually a visual novel where I'm in a cute little literature club and I get to date all these cute other girls in the literature club. It's actually like kind of a fucked up horror game that does all this fucky shit with your files on your computer and stuff like that, which is so cool to do something like that. But it's like, that's dangerous sales wise to put someone in that situation where they are getting bait and switched so hard.
Yeah, I guess like the thing I would say to that also is I feel like that stuff works best when you write it all the way into the ground. Like, if you are writing in your description, or if you are putting in your trailers like a little like, hee, there's more here than what it seems like, you've already you've undercut your whole thing. Yeah. And that's, I think that is like, it's cool. That is maybe my favorite part about Glittermitten Grove, is that it is extremely fucking cool.
And it probably suffered commercially.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, of course it did.
Like, especially in this era where like the main point of purchase for like so many people is watching other people play the game. So like how you can't Twitch or YouTube these games. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit well. So it's so... I'm with you. It's like, it is like most things in like most art in society, it is the coolest when it makes no sense commercially. And like,
True,
and Jim,
absolutely.
God love him, he has now 3 times done that. So if he wanted to just like cash in on the next one, he has fucking earned it. Because it's...
Do you think there's a path there? Do you think that I mean, because it did build up enough, like Frog Fractions built up a pretty good name, but like, do you think that if there was just a straight-faced, here's the next Frog Fractions, I mean, the DLC kind of, well, not all the way, but like, do you think do you think there's something there?
I think you could, like, I think that joke of like, it's obscure there's more meat somewhere else. Like, if he had done, like, because there's like weird ass games. What was the game that came out earlier this year that was, you were an assassin and it was kind of Deus Ex-y, and it was the most like neon Cruelty Squad, right? So like Cruelty Squad's a game that is like definitely having a joke, but also at least it could sell itself as what it was. I wonder if there's like version where like you pretend that Frog Fractions has been bought by like EA or something, right? And you make this like very gregarious, like commercialized. I'm sure there's a different take he has. Yeah, Jim is way smarter than me about this. I'm sure he has a much better idea of what to do.
Yeah.
And to cycle back slightly, someone did mention that Doki Doki Literature Club does spoil itself in that it has like a bunch of content warnings at the beginning, and it's like, I remember there was some like arguments in like forums and stuff like that, being like, they shouldn't have even done that. It would have been a better surprise if that wasn't there. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, leave all the people that like need to know that stuff like out in the
That's a tough
dirt?
line. Like, that's a tough line to walk when you have like actual content, when you need to have some content warnings there. Like, where do you put those? It's like the Call of Duty thing is like the I think it was just Black Ops, when you would launch it and try to launch the campaign, or when you first turned it on, it was just like, hey, there's a bunch of torture in here. You want to turn it off?
Wow, you spoiled the torture scene for me.
Like, there's a bunch of and I think that eventually evolved to like, there's some sensitive stuff in here, and there was like a cut scene where America's getting bombed or something that they cut short a part where there's a kid or something. There's like little bits and pieces like that, but that they just trim it if you turn it off at a different spot or
you want
whatever
to see a
it
kid
is.
blown up? Click yes.
just say that. Yo, you want to see a kid blown up?
Hoorah.
CallOfDuty.StyleProject.com is the marketing site this year. Yeah, I don't know. It's I think the way that Frog Fractions has done it is
It's
just perfect and unbelievably cool, and that's not translated into huge dollars, I'm sure, but
the best way to do one of these games is to not make them with sensitive stuff in them to begin with, which is why Frog Fractions is. That's you can keep the secret better if you don't put fucked up stuff in your game.
Well, I guess, but even with Frog Fractions, like I played that game pre-release. Like they, like Jim came in and we did interviews. Like there was like a bit of they tried to do some kind of like pre-release, like is there something we can, is there some way we can just hold this review until people find out the secret, but also people are going to find out the secret. And so there's like that window where I knew Glittermitten was out and I just saw it sitting there on Steam for a while. And I was just like, this is not going to take long, but I love sitting here knowing what I know and watching this unfold was so cool. Was really fun.
It's funny,
and it was like a little hint of what's being on the other side, I guess. But
we did a doc on Frog Fractions, like year 1 of NoClip. We did one on 1 and one on 2, and we did an ARG for the link and didn't put it live until whoever found it decided they wanted to share it. And it was like so hard to like sit there and be like, I can see someone's watching it right now, but they couldn't hit the button. What a guy!
Cool.
Yeah, it's such a like the fact that no one's done it since. Like it's just such a risky, fun thing. Like we're better in gaming for Frog Fractions being around.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Radu from Romania writes in and says, so EA is putting games on Steam again. There's a part of me that thinks that Apex being built on Source, and since it was blew up, I'm assuming that led to a stronger relationship between Valve and Respawn, because, huge game, blah, 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 blah. Long and short of it, do you think that this is what led EA coming back to Steam? I think the answer is yes, but not for the reasons that Radu is saying here.
I suspect Steam and Respawn have always had a good relationship because Vince Zampella has worked with Valve his entire career.
Yeah,
like I
would think so.
I bet there was never anything. I mean, he worked on a Half-Life expansion that never came out. All of the old COD games were using. Was it no? Were they using?
They were id Tech primarily.
Id?
Yeah, okay. They were. Yeah. So it was like the shift to Source. The full shift to Source came when they started Respawn, because they were like, hey, this is an engine we know we can get up and running really easily and prototype on fast and all that sort of stuff. But I think even underneath Source, there's definitely some id Tech.
Yeah, everything goes back to id Tech.
Yeah. I think it has more to do with Apex blowing up and being a free-to-play game, and a free-to-play game needs to acquire users constantly at all costs and needs to be everywhere all the time. So I do think that Apex was probably a major factor in getting EA games back on Steam, if I had to guess, and I am just guessing. But
that hits the ear right. That makes sense. I don't think there's any like bad blood there. I think some of the sort of reading the tea leaves on this stuff, you get these inverse relationships because we don't have all the information. But like a lot of this is just business. Like people don't, people come and go, and there's none of this like decades old. Unless you're talking about like Konami and Kojima or something. Most of the time, there's not that type of animosity. It's just
and it was the thing, So I went down to where the Game Awards were being held and just kind of hung out for the afternoon, and then split before the Game Awards because I was originally going to go to the Game Awards, and then I missed their cutoff for like saying yes for RSVPs because they're doing pretty strict COVID stuff. Because I had this moment of like, I haven't had a booster yet, and I don't have anything to wear, and I don't even know. Am I comfortable being in a crowd and all this stuff? So I kind of panicked and didn't go. But I did catch up with a bunch of people in person for the first time in like 2 years. And it was a interesting time to be around a lot of game devs because we're still in that weird consolidation phase where everyone wants to buy everybody and do this and that. And there's just a lot of money around and the idea that there are just a lot of investors that don't want to take your pitch unless you've got a crypto play in there, and just like a lot of, that creepy end to things. And it's a very fascinating time around all that stuff that I think plays into like what you're saying about like, the reading the tea leaves and not really knowing what's going on in the business. Like I think it is still the case that everyone is always talking to anyone. There's some, I think one of the, all these sites that kind of monitor Steam packages and try to figure out like what's going up on Steam. Didn't you get caught on one of those with like, was that Keeley's Horizon thing, or was
that was our Horizon thing?
That was your Horizon thing that showed up on Steam, and it made everyone go like, "Oh my God, Horizon's coming to Steam."
Yeah, they should have known that it had the Steam ID. I think they're slightly different for videos, so people should have had an idea. Yeah. But yeah, there was a little bit of scuttlebutt because we put it. If you typed Horizon into Steam, our fucking documentaries came up. So
yeah,
sorry everyone.
So like people are always scraping Steam trying to figure out what's what, and I think some Ubisoft related packages showed up pretty recently. So now people are like, "Oh, is Ubisoft going to finally come back as well?"
Interesting.
Which I think would make sense because again, I think we're at that phase where it's not about building your own siloed system anymore. Like you can keep that and you can still get access to the customer data that you so richly crave, while still being on Steam. Like now that they've allowed all those third-party launchers to clutter up Steam.
Might be some negotiating on Valve's end maybe for the first time in a while too on their rates.
Yeah, could be. But like because now like you can subscribe to EA Play on Steam even. So like they built all that stuff in. So if you wanted to do a Uplay Plus, like that, all that framework is just there now. So if you're Ubisoft, you're probably just like, oh, let's at least like we need at least need to be having this conversation to get these games in front of more people and all the other stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Everyone's talking to everyone. That hasn't changed for sure. Couple more here. Frank from LA says, we were just talking about the multiple facets of this. How do you feel about Megadeath having its own cryptocurrency? They were selling NFTs previous to this. On a related note, Dave Mustaine fails your check here. He is anti-vax, conspiracy theory, alt-right
Mustaine?
type of guy. Mustaine?
Dave Mustaine, is that?
Mustaine, I know MTV's political correspondent Dave Mustaine has somehow turned out to be a free thinker, quote unquote.
I didn't know
the NFTs.
He's doing his own research. He's doing his own research.
He's doing his own research. I don't believe that.
What's it called?
Yeah, what is it called?
Death Coin.
Death Coin?
Because that'll actually matter.
Death Clock.
Yeah.
Bacon.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, like, at some point, I guess
they should have. That would be a good fucking
episode
season
of
Metalocalypse.
Were they really getting NFTs?
Someone get
There's no like angle on it. It's just they do. It's like, this is brutal.
What do you mean? We got crypto.
That's pretty good.
Fuck, man, bring that back just for this angle for sure. Yeah, I feel like someone is just telling Megadeath to do this, and Megadeath is just like, well, Megadeath, sure. Yes.
I think a lot of this is aligned with Dave Mustaine's brand of shitbagness.
I got it. I'm just from being fully transparent. I had no idea that Mustaine was this person, and someone in chat before was like, "Yo, Slayer turned to Dark Corner too," and I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? Okay.
Yeah.
You know who else turned to Dark Corner? Crazy Frog. Crazy Frog is back.
Yep.
What?
And also into NFT shit.
Oh yeah. Crazy Frog's been trying to come back on Twitter for like the last year, and then like now this happened. So yeah, it's a.
Did you guys even get the ringtone commercials over here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Jamster ringtone, like not the way that you got them, I think, but we definitely.
Yeah,
it was raw.
Like, someone asked to the Crazy Frog account, like this tweet if you were doing NFTs against your will, and it liked the tweet.
Yeah.
Remember that
we don't
video
have a
game?
lot of time left in the show, but Danny, I do feel like I have to ask this question, and I know that this could lead to a 3-hour conversation. Ben writes in and says, I don't watch F1, but there seems to be a lot of drama with how Max Verstappen won. What's going on?
I recorded
what's
for
going on?
an hour and 45 minutes with Giant Bomb's breakaway independent Formula One podcast with Rob and Drew earlier today. Yeah, it's yeah. I will say this: if you have watched the season we just had, it was kind of the tip of the bullshit sphere we've had in relation. It was coming. It's not as much as this race was crazy and this situation was crazy. It was, but if you look at it, this was like, two cars have hit their brakes and we have slowly arrived at the crash. You could have seen it coming based on the way the race direction was going and the stewards and the way Max Verstappen drives and the way Hamilton it was, let's say this, next year's Netflix Drive to Survive is going to be a banger.
That's neat.
It was a great season. It was a really good season. I hope it doesn't take the shine off what was the most competitive, most interesting season we've had in forever. And next year there's new regulations and the cars are going to be totally different, or very different. So
all electric, huh?
Continues. No, that's Formula E. They have that.
They finally taken
Oh,
over.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They're powered by NFT Bitcoin mining stuff.
I'm trying to think how
the cars themselves mine Bitcoin while they're running.
It's funny how F1 hasn't...
Proof of speed is the new blockchain.
What was it? They do have a blockchain game, I guess. Some weird F1...
Sure.
I feel like and I don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like the overlap between people who are into F1 and people that would potentially be pro NFT, makes a lot of sense to me.
You know what the bigger one is? UFC, because like anyone, all of the money that's in advertising on UFC is like, it's predominantly sports betting, which I'm sorry to everyone who bets. That's how you get money from people. That's how, like, if people bet on sports over the course of their lifetime, they are losing money. And you know what also they can lose money on? Cryptocurrency. It's a really easy, like, I'm not saying they're all marks, but like
the sort of person that would like look for those sorts of shortcuts to try to like, if I can just get back.
You're demographically aligned with the marks.
Yes, it is exploitative to a certain type of person. And
UFC is so UFC just puts the betting line like on the lower third.
The commentators talk about it.
They talk about it. It's just like, it's
like
fucking crazy.
In a major way. In the last 3 to 5 years, I feel like every sport, I mean, obviously I'm watching hockey the closest, but like halfway between a Devils game, they will be like, yo, by the way, here's the money line right now.
Oh man, that sucks.
And you're just like,
that is an industry that needs regulation like no one's business. Like, it's especially over here, but like also, just all that sort of stuff.
The UK is like way ahead on this front, right? Like there's people betting on. Like I was watching. I was on a very shifty Discord server not that long ago, and we were watching live. There were people. There's like it's a machine somewhere that is running pre-rendered 3D dog races.
Yeah,
and people can bet on 3D rendered dog. You can bet real money on, and they do horses and they do dogs and they do like all this other stuff, and they just run 24/7. So anytime you can go in and just like fucking go like, I don't know, I guess I'll bet on the gray one. He's got a great name.
People betting on like that marbles game that people use on Steam. To pick lottery winners and shit.
The true darkest, like the most dim-witted example of this I can think of is that WWE has started to run DraftKings ads. And the idea that you can go pick winners for a fucking wrestling show.
Well, so that's so problematic.
It's awesome.
Right. I feel like anyone backstage is just going like, oh, cool, I'm going to go call like my cousin. So it's like one step removed so I don't get in trouble and go like, here's the whole card. Here's who's going over.
It should just say DraftKings, WWE, we're all going to jail.
That's awesome.
Because that is just how it's going. I mean, it's like highlight. It's like the betting on highlight and down in Florida, right? John Luke, you know all about that. You never went to a highlight match when you lived there?
I lived in Florida. No.
I thought you said you did.
No,
Sorry.
I was visiting Florida.
You're just visiting Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When our dads independently almost ran into each other on the highway.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
Origin story.
20 years ago.
there's
Yeah.
High Line at the airport, so maybe anyway.
Now I need to find. I have the URLs for these that are like stripped away because you had to VPN your way into the gambling site because it was in the UK, and they were like, "You're in the US, you can't watch the fucking fake dogs." And I was like, "The hell I can't!" and ripped the URLs out of them. And
Didn't they have isn't that like I think a big thing in Japan? Like they have that crazy one with like the giraffes race running after like the man who like starts small and gets big, like it's all that type of shit.
I don't think that was real.
I have those. Those came out on DVD. Like I have those. It's a weird set of DVDs. I don't know what the original
They're not
story is with
okay.
those, but there's definitely
I
like
think it was
like
just
the
a gag, yeah.
yeah.
You could just like do some betting at home with the DVD.
Exactly, home betting.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
DVDs are structured in such a way that I think you can kind of like hit random on a race or whatever and not know what the outcome is.
The giraffe wins this one.
You realize
I recognize this one.
we're hurtling towards the fucking gambling portion of Vegas Vacation, where Clark and what's his face go to that budget casino where they're like betting on pick a
Right.
number and war and all these like fucking rock paper scissors. Like that's it. We've done it.
Yeah.
Congrats. We're doing great.
Yeah,
I was trying so hard to find a way to squeeze in my obsession with sumo wrestling during this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
but
That's got to be
whenever-
big business too, yeah? Or you're
Big,
not
huge
allowed.
business.
Scams too.
You're not,
Yeah.
huge upsets with regards to gambling, like scandals related to the Yakuza, so it's really spicy stuff.
Yeah, that's all. It always is.
Gambling is always
Sumo wrestling and
crystal,
Silent Hill are
crystal
all
clean. Yeah.
all being stopped by the Yakuza.
That's true.
I can't find those URLs, so now I'm bummed out. I'm gonna have to go see this. If does Brinty in the chat have? Anyway, all right. We'll find these. I need to watch some more of this. That's gonna do it for the show. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll be back next week with more show. We're running out of a year here.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. What do we got?
Scary.
What do we got? A few more
Couple
episodes?
more weeks here.
Any
Yeah,
games
a
out
couple
next
more
week?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Game of the Year
no
backlog
idea.
continues then.
Yeah,
There's no way to
beautiful.
know.
Playing, catch up on all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you soon with another episode of the Giant Bombcast. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Someone save Danny.
What's this, Cybermania?